also on Broadway. Dairy Queen, abductors, and adductors, Dairy Queen. Lots of stuff. You never know what you're going to tune in. Yeah. Tune in, but you never know. Yeah. Thanks to Paul Rosenberg. Thanks to Danny Ginsberg. Just realized that. How about that? Keith McPherson's coming up next. We got Yankees opening day coming up on Thursday. Something to look forward to as well. I'm sure Keith is looking forward to that.
Duh.
Soon. Mavericks beat the Nets tonight, 120 to 101 for the Capper Kid Castro.
Yeah. I'm listening to the Brooklyn Nets broadcast right now. Let me hit the inhaler. I'm gonna hit the inhaler like Lil Wayne hits his lighter. You already.
The Fan, 1019 FM, and always live on the free Odyssey app. It's Keith McPherson on the Fan, 1019 FM, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
They're working on making me a much shorter intro. I'll tell you about it. I'll tell you how it even came about. Yeah. Hey, let me at him. Right back at it on the Fan in New York. I'm geeked up, baby. I've been sleeping all week. Freshly back from Tampa. I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. I'm ready to go. Almost a 4-hour show. Dial 888-808-1019 one time. Get on the line if you miss me. Get on the line if you didn't miss me. Fair weather fans, bandwagon fans, Yankees fans, Mets fans, St. John's fans, Giants fans. Does Jameis Winston have fans yet? Justin Fields might. We're going to get into it. But as I listened to the station today and I tapped back in over the weekend a little bit, and today we had Subway Series down there in Port St. Lucie, I'm like, we got to talk baseball. This is it. St. John's eliminated. They got up out the way, and we'll get to that. I felt bad about how that all shook out. I was in the camp. I feel like we needed more positive energy coming from WFAN towards the Johnnies. We'll get to the Johnnies. I did have a take on Jameis Winston. If you follow me on social media, I had the take like 2 weeks ago. I said Jameis was just waiting on that Giants job. He's waiting on it, and he got it. But he might have some more competition. Cam Ward's pro day was today. We'll get to that as well. And some of the moves that the Giants made, kind of under the radar moves, I like. But yeah, it's baseball time, man. The season's upon us. These are the last of days until it counts. Let the games begin. All of the back and forth, all of the talk, all of the guessing games, all of the, things that fans do about what these teams are going to be, how many games they're going to win, who's going to hit where, who's going to make the team. We'll do that tonight. We'll talk about injuries. We'll talk about the 26-man roster. We'll talk about young guys that are going to get their shot, guys that opted out, guys that are going to make the cut, not make the cut, what's going to happen. But, yeah, it's Monday night. Pretty soon it'll be Tuesday, and we're getting ready for opening day. 888-808-1019. You should be talking about the Yankees. You should be talking about the Mets. They played today, and I know that game didn't matter at all. I know the game, it's spring training, and it's funny that it ended in a draw. It ended in a tie. I felt like it needed to. Brandon Nimmo was like, "No, we gotta have a tie game so that neither fan base can get too crazy," because it's been too crazy. It's been much about nothing. And, I started thinking more about the generational Juan Soto, and I'm not so mad about Juan Soto. I'm not coping at this point about Juan Soto. I don't hate Juan Soto, but, we'll start with the boos, right? I was watching the game, and actually I was listening to the game on 880, and then online you could see the clip where, Juan Soto comes out to a smattering of boos, but also some cheers. I think we'll be able to get the audio from that. I'll send it to Paul if you haven't heard it yet. But, who cares? Much is being made about the Yankees in this rivalry. And if you didn't think it was a rivalry, it's certainly a rivalry now. Where I've come around to with Juan Soto is like, this is great. This is a superhero and a villain in our city. This is theatrical. This is get your popcorn ready. This is drama for not just this year. And you might already have Soto fatigue. But it's not just this year. It's for the rest of his career. It's for the next 15 years. Yankee fans are going to be rooting for him to fail, and Mets fans are going to be rooting for him to succeed. And I mean, the Mets are going to milk this thing for the decade and a half. I mean, I saw the first 15,000 fans get a Juan Soto pin before he even steps into the batter's box in Citi Field. The first 15,000 fans will get a Juan Soto pin with him doing the Juan Soto shuffle, you know, for buying their tickets and getting to the stadium early. Incentives. I even saw at the Mets house, right? The Mets house, they're selling this special edition Victus Juan Soto bat. They got to make that money back, right? That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Tomorrow at the Mets house, starting at 11 a.m., shoppers have the opportunity to purchase a limited edition Juan Soto bat. Only 22 available. Bats are $400 each. Limit 2 per person. We know you Mets fans got money to blow. We know them ticket prices are up. We know that this was the greatest spring training that the Mets ever had. The Juan Soto effect is real. It is good for business. It is good for baseball. It's good for New York baseball. I'm not going to hold you. I don't think either one of these teams are winning the World Series this year. I said it. I don't think either one of these teams. I think it's going to be harder for both of these teams to get to where they were last year, and that's the bar. But we have this player that played for the Yankees and propelled the Yankees to a World Series, hit the home run that sent them there, caught the last out. That's forever. That's in Yankee Classic. You might see it on Yankeeography. Yes, Network, his feelings have gone away. We have this guy who actually chose to leave the 27-time world. He actually chose to leave the Yankees to be a Met. So what he could be signaling is the changing of the guard, or he could just signal, hey, the more things change, the more things stay the same. I'm riveted. I will watch every single Mets game I can watch, every single Yankees game I can watch. I'm going there live. And when they talk about, are you going to boo them? I don't know. Somebody asked me that. One of my young boys said, I'm going to that game, Keith. What do you think I should do? I said, you'll know how to feel in there. You don't have to know today. You don't have to be one of these guys. I'm not going to boo Juan Soto. I'm a classy Yankee fan. He helped send us to the World Series, and I appreciate him for that. I know there's a lot of Yankee fans that are over Altuve. Altuve's playing left field now. All that F Altuve, that's done. That's done. That's years old now. I bet you some of them same frat boys that come to Yankee Stadium fire up F Juan Soto. And if they're not doing it in Yankee Stadium, they've already bought a Soto 22 City Edition jersey, and they'll be taking the 7 line to Queens. 888-808-1019. Like, baseball is upon us. And I don't think either one of these teams are winning the World Series. Sure, it'd be great. And I don't mean to rain on our parades, but it's just like, I don't see it with all the injuries. And look at these rotations and these lineups, and who knows? We're gonna go on the ride, but at least we have this dynamic here of like Juan Soto helped end the Yankees' drought in World Series appearances. Juan Soto was in pinstripes in the Yankees building, getting the loudest roll call, getting love from the fans. Yankee fans now are scorned. Some don't care. Like, honestly, I talked to a lot of Yankee fans. I was just in Tampa. Some Yankee fans are more pissed off at the fact that they can't get to the players because of the new renovations and changes they made in Tampa to spring training. You used to be able to walk up to the players. Hey, you can't do that now. It's 2025. We're in the future. Much has changed. They're not going to play New York after we lose. These guys have beards now. Juan Soto looked at the Yankees Monument Park, looked at the Yankees retired numbers, looked at the Yankees old timers day and said, no, thanks. No, thanks. I see a better future over there. And whether you believe him or not, it doesn't matter if you believe him or not. This is what the guy's saying. In 6-7 years, let me pull that quote up. I think I saw Big Mac was talking about that. And it caught my attention. And I was like, you know what? It came from The Pursuit. I didn't watch that. Why would I watch The Pursuit? Why would they make a movie called The Pursuit of Juan Soto? Like, my Mets are making YouTube long length feature films, long form content on how they got Juan Soto to sign. You have the richest owner in the sport. But Juan Soto now is talking about, I know the Yankees are going to be good for the next couple years, but I don't know nobody knows anything, Juan. But I do understand the logic as far as like, you have an owner that is going to spend and isn't afraid to spend. Your proof of that, Juan. And then you have David Stearns, who's one of the smartest guys, regarded as one of the smartest guys in baseball. He's not going to let the sink ship. His first year on the job, bravo. So when you put the smartest guy in the room with the richest guy in the room, who's also smart as well, you think that good things are going to come. 888-808-1019. I just think there's a lot of saving face going on for no reason. That's another thing with the Soto dynamic. You don't need to save face. You don't need to go on a podcast and say, no, the Mets were not the highest offer. Of course they were. Of course they were. You don't have to say anything. And then all the stuff about Soto's mom and his mom and his dad really wanted him to be. He wanted to be a Met. He wanted to be and that is okay. Some of y'all got to it is okay. You might not want to be a Met. I don't want to be a Met. Aaron Boone doesn't want to be a Met. Aaron Boone straight up told him, those Mets colors don't look good on you. To be honest, Mets colors don't look good on anyone. It's okay. It's okay. But like now this has to play out. Now this has to play out. And we're going to be watching and going to the ballpark and listening to WFAN all night and all day with reactions and calls and hosts on each side. And it's going to be great no matter what. No matter what. The Mets got to worry about their own division. They got to worry about their own rotation. They got to live up to expectations with a target on their back now. But like I said, Mets fans, you have a superhero. I'm not going to lie to you. I watched every at-bat. I met Juan Soto last year. Having Juan Soto on your team is like having Superman on your side. Straight up. He's going to win you some games. He's going to do some things that wow you. He's going to do some things for the next decade and a half that are going to make you love the Mets and love watching baseball. But that doesn't guarantee he's going to win a championship. And for Yankee fans, you have a villain now. You have a guy to hate on, whether he's dropping a pop-up or one is going over his head or he's getting thrown out at second or he has a day he goes 0 for 4. Some of you are going to lean into that. Some of you are going to love to hate Juan Soto. It's good to have a villain. It's WWE. It's all wrestling, right? If I saw Juan Soto today, I'd shake his hand. But like, I might be in Yankee Stadium the weekend of May 16th and he comes out, I might just boo his ass. I might just feel that way. And that's okay. That's my right to do that. I don't boo the Yankees, but I'll boo a Met easily. 888-808-1019. So I wanted to start with some of that stuff, right? Coming out of, spring training game, and spring training is done. I think there's one more game left, but we had Yankees Mets today. And of course they end up in a tie and a draw. I think there's another interesting dynamic here with, guys like Dom Smith, who's, opted out, but also guys like Marcus Stroman, a former Met, right? There's some Mets fans that like to get at me from, I think 2 years ago now, when I was talking about the Mets taking Yankees leftovers, sloppy seconds, hand-me-downs, right? Rejects. One man's trash is another man's opening day starter. Clay Holmes. Do not leave Clay Holmes out of this, yo. Do not leave Clay Holmes out of this. I'm booing the hell out of Clay Holmes. I wish him no luck. I don't hate Clay. I hated when he pitched for the Yankees. But, like, do I want to see him become an ace for the Mets? Hell no. But, like, there's a dynamic here with the Yankees, right? The Yankees don't take the Mets players until they go somewhere else and they just like shake the Mets stench off them a little bit. Like Carlos Carrasco had to go back to Cleveland, just shake that Metsiness off a little bit. All right, come on down. And like Pablo Reyes, I know he didn't really play for them, but like Marcus Stroman, even Dom Smith, a lot of Yankee fans are, Dom Smith's our DH, he's making the team. And people are like, what about him, Keith? You always talk about how the Mets took these players. The Mets take Yankee players as soon as they come out of the pinstripes. The Yankees don't want a Met right after he comes out of Queens. They're like, let him go somewhere else. shake that off, watch some of that Mr. Medoff, and then come on down. 888-808-1019. So let's enjoy it, man. The rivalry is strong right now. And there's a lot of you that don't feel like it is a rivalry, but Juan Soto makes it a rivalry, right? Juan Soto adds a little bit more juice, a little more energy. This year we're getting a weekend Subway Series. They didn't do that the last 3 years, I believe, 22, 23, 24. I was at the one on September 11th weekend in Citi Field. That was the last time I remember it. And I remember getting on the fan, because I wasn't on the fan yet, but I remember getting on the fan that next year saying that was the best baseball environment I was in coming out of the pandemic. Like in the whole 2021 season, Citi Field for those 3 days, Mets versus Yankees, was insane. We get to live that again. Like, it is going to be turned up with star players, superheroes in this game, and a rivalry for the city. Our football teams are trash. Basketball, the Knicks they're probably another second round exit. Y'all couldn't even rally around St. John's. As soon as they win one game in the NCAA tournament, people start hating. I'm listening to the fan, and I'm actually shocked how many people called in to be like, oh, they need to settle down. No, they don't. And now I'm going to segue into that. Shame on you if you were rooting against St. John's, especially if you know Brandon Tierney, especially if you're someone at WFAN. I was going out of my way, right? I was going out of my way to talk about St. John's, and I was happy to have BT on twice, right? Because how lit is that? BT is on air with us during the day, and then on the side, he calls St. John's games. He's been a fan of them. How dope is that for him? I wanted to see them go to the Final Four. I only had one bracket with them going to like the Elite Eight. I didn't really believe. Shame on you if you had them winning your bracket and going to the Final Four. But like, I thought it was crazy to tune into WFAN and hear all the negativity and the hate towards St. John's. All of a sudden, we expected them to go from David to Goliath like that. What happened to them being the great story? What happened to, oh, this never happens. It's been 40 years. What happened to this is amazing. The whole city is rallying around St. John. Like, people just, like, they build you up to break you down. They don't want anybody to shine. They don't want anybody to have success. I felt like that negative energy kicked in. And we all should have been riding for them. You don't have to. I'm not even from New York. I don't even live in New York. But like, I'm on WFA, I'm in the city, and I've never seen St. John's be good. So like, I thought it was a great story, a great turnaround. We were blessed to see it. And as soon as they have a little bit of success, even today, listening to BT, I don't know why they're trolling him about drinking with the team. BT wasn't drinking with the team, and they're allowed to go follow the team. And after the team gets their first tournament win since, I don't know, 2000 or something like that, like, they're allowed to celebrate. But man, I was disappointed to hear some of our own hosts and some of our New Yorkers, some of our New York fans talking about, hey, take it easy. And then when they actually lose, be like, they didn't even go on a run. This year was a failure. This year was not a failure, you silly rabbits. This was a building block year. Oh, what building blocks, Keith? It's the NIL transfer portal. They're going to have a different team. It's building blocks for their program. They're literally building blocks, right? Brick by brick, building walls and buildings. This might literally be the year to put St. John's on the map, where like St. John's every year is competing to win the Big East. Every year is in the dance. We are crabs in a bucket. We tear down our own so fast. It's crazy. 888-808-1019, man. Shout out to RJ Lewis. You know, in that speech he gave when he got Big East Player of the Year, he was in tears talking about his family, right? Talking about putting on for Dominicans, putting on for the city, Ecuadorians, talking about, you know, how Rick Pitino took a chance on him. And it hurt to see that kid in the situation that he was in getting benched, but that's sports. And that's another thing that I was saying the whole week. Everybody talking, oh, these guys get paid like athletes. It's ridiculous. I hear some callers talking about they got to go to class. You don't know what they do. You don't know their GPA. You don't know their class schedule. You don't know what they do. You assume that they're not going to class. They're doing much more for the university on that court than they are in class, but they are still going to class. And I think a lot of people are forgetting that these are kids, man. These are kids. 19, 20, 21-year-old kids. And all they want to do is cut down nets. All they want to do is shine. All they want to do is hoop and win. And you know what? Shout out to Arkansas. Shout out to Calipari. Like SEC basketball, those boys playing for the Razorbacks, they were ready to go. And you know what? They compete in the SEC. And you know what? Calipari didn't just get going there this year. Like they were ready to go. And RJ in that big spot, it's tough, man. You're not playing Xavier. You're not playing Butler. You're playing some big boys from the South. And in the NIL era, all of these guys are potential NBA guys. And you know what? He's forcing shots. He had a rough game. And I see people talking about Pitino like he's not supposed to be a coach because of the money. Like he's not supposed to teach someone a lesson in that moment. Of course he is. And you sit a guy down. I looked at it like in football. If a quarterback is going 3 for 17, you got to bench him. You got to go to somebody else. It's not working. And I don't care that it's do or die. It's a tournament. You go home. It's a building block. You learn from it. It was a good run for St. John's. I don't care what you say about the run in the tournament. It was a good run for them. They won the Big East. They won the Big East tournament. Yeah, it is unfortunate as a number 2 seed. They won 1 game. That is unfortunate. But to say that the season is a failure, it brought a lot of joy to a lot of people. People that were not paying attention to the Red Storm. And people that have been paying attention every year to the Red Storm. 888-808-1019. I had to weigh in on that. Like, this is a building block for the program. There are kids from around the country now that are like, oh, I want to go to Queens. I want to go to New York. I love New York. Oh, wait, they have a basketball team coached by one of the greats. And it's immediate, right? Pitino's 72. This isn't building blocks for the next decade. This is building blocks for the next 3 to 5 years. And so if next year they take a step forward, they make it to the Sweet 16, they make it to the Elite 8, that's progress. That's progress. Shout out to all those kids. Richmond, Zuby, Doobie Doo. Like, shout out to them putting the city on their back. The Knicks aren't going to do it. The Rangers aren't going to do it. The Giants aren't going to do it. The Jets aren't going to do it. And I hate to break it to you, it is going to be tough for these New York Yankees to do it. With Will Warren and Carlos Carrasco and Marcus Stroman in the rotation. I can't wait for the season. I'll see you at Stan's, 11 a.m. Come crack a beer. Happy New Year. We in there. But shout out to St. John's in their run. We'll start with the Yankees and the Mets and the excitement for baseball and opening day. And literally, this being the mecca of baseball, New York City, the MLB offices. Shout out to my folks at MLB. Beautiful offices. I've been in the 245 Park office. I just got into the one. I don't even know what the address is, but it's over there off of 6. It's amazing. This is the spot, right? This is where baseball lives. And we should come together and root for the Mets or Yankees to get to the World Series, knock off the Dodgers. But, right now it's Juan Soto. Juan Soto is the thing between both fan bases that we will not agree on, that will stir the drinks, get people pissed off. Some people are over it, whatever, but it's going to be a fun season, man. A lot more to do. 888-808-1019. When we come back, I'll talk about famous Jameis and the Giants. Keith McPherson back on the Fan. Call us up. BRB. Yo, I'm trying to work on something, yo. One, my allergies. My face is mad itchy. My nose is mad itchy. And also being in Tampa for a minute, bro. I'm trying to get the audio to feed into this. I don't know why it's not working right. It's not working how I want to. See, so I gotta get with engineering, bro. I always try and figure out audio stuff myself, but this one's above my pay grade. Shout out to the chat, though. Who we got in here? Let's see. Already hit Matt with a year. What's up, Keith? Pam, appreciate you. What's up, Keith? Guess who would be the next Bat Cashman acquires? I don't know. We're gonna find out soon with cuts and final rosters coming up. Pablo Reyes. St. John's lost the tournament. I'm bummed out, Keith. Don't be. There's way better teams than them. I don't know. I guess they got to like 9 in the country. What'd you say? So, here, I'll come in there. All right, y'all. I had to get a read. But let me hit this chat before we get back here. Yankees in theory had the best offer because of their franchise history and Aaron Judge hitting behind him. I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of things like that we could say. I mean, I got you, Tyler. I got you. I'm 15, so my yeah, what up? What up? What is there to mention, bro? All right, let's get back into it. Okay. 888-808-1019. Quickly here before we get to the 11 o'clock hour and update. KEITHMCPHERSON on the Fan in New York. Avery in St. Louis is first. What's up, man? It was good. I got some stories to tell from it too once we get later into the night. It was good. Thanks for asking. How are you?
I'm good. I don't feel like I've ever been this. I've never had this level of a combination of anxiety and excitement at the same time for a Yankees season. Anxiety because I'm so desperate to finish the job and get back to where we were before. Now that we know how it feels, excited because, well, it's start of a new baseball season, and I know our team's still going to be good, even though we don't have all the guys that we wanted to have.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what? I keep hearing that stupid anxiety song, and it's by that chick Doechii, and I had never really heard of her until she won Grammys. And it's just like anxiety, anxiety. And I'm someone, I don't have anxiety. My wife does, right? So I remember when she was saying to me when we were younger, when we were like college, because like I have anxiety, I thought anxiety was like just like mental weakness. I'm like, oh, just be tough, like just toughen up. She's like, no, you don't understand. So like I don't relate to the anxiety thing. And I think all of us now are having anxiety because there's TikToks with people dancing around to anxiety. I don't have anxiety about the season. What's the worst is gonna happen? They go 82-80. They missed the postseason. Like, what's the worst that happened? Judge get hurt, somebody else get hurt. Everybody's already hurt. Stanton is hurt. Heel is hurt. Cole is hurt. Like, what? I don't have anxiety about it because it's like it's out of my control. Do I want the Yankees to win as many games as possible and the World Series? Yeah, since I was about 6. But I can't have anxiety about that. I don't really have anxiety about anything. But also, like the excitement part that you're talking about. Like, I can't wait to see what this lineup is. I can't wait to see how this all shakes out. Somebody is going to, be, playing and performing over their head, over expectations. Somebody like maybe it's Austin Wells, maybe it's not. I think a lot of people are pointing to Austin Wells, and I point to the way Kyle Higashioka hit homers in spring training, or Greg Bird. Like, people got to get off the spring training stuff. People are drinking the spring training Kool-Aid, but like that's the exciting part about being a fan and watching the team. We have no idea who's going to suck. We have no idea who's going to succeed. And we hope that they all succeed.
Well, first of all, go Brian Cashman for adding Yarbrough. That's a big move that we really needed.
I mean, I don't know how big of a move it is, but I like it. Ryan coming to Yarbrough.
We need a lefty. I'll take any lefty we can get, and I'm going to call that a big move in our bullpen.
Yeah, I like the move, but I'm kind of like, give me another bat. But like, yes, you obviously need it with the pitching. Sure. I'm not mad at the move. We'll talk about it.
Right. Well, that's my second point was that I wanted to say, Peraza, you think he's getting traded? I'm impressed if they can flip him. I'd be really impressed.
I was about to say, I traded for what and for who? Like, he might actually make the team because they probably feel some kind of way about him. They prospect hugged him for so long. I know.
He's out of options.
I'm aware. And I mean, Susan was talking about it. Everybody's been talking about it. I don't know if they can get anything of value for him. And I think that they like the guy. And I mean, they're the ones that treated the guy the way they did. Like, this is a kid who was starting in the American League Championship Series for you in 2022 at shortstop.
Yeah, this is true. And finally, I just want to end with positive thoughts. I am excited for Carrasco. I like his delivery. I think Warren is going to be a good pitcher, and I'm excited to see how this lineup shakes out. I really am. All right, Keith, thanks.
Thanks for the call, Avery. Yes, be excited. Be excited because, like, literally in a week from right now, we might be taking calls about Carlos Rodon sucks, Keith. How much money do we pay him? How many more years? Like, this guy. Be excited now. Be optimistic now. Glass half full right now. 888-808-1019. We do not know. That's why we bet on this stuff. Reminder to put in all your future bets. If you think the Mets are winning the World Series, go put $1,000 on it. If you think the Yankees are winning the World Series, go put $1,000 on it. Hey, put your money where your mouth is. May the odds be ever in your favor. Speaking of the odds, man, I'm popped from trying to hit parlays, my brackets. I have one bracket with Houston winning it, one bracket with Michigan State winning it. I honestly think Duke is going to win it. And like, I grew up rooting for Duke. Front runner, bandwagon, fair weather. I grew up rooting for Duke, but I like completely fell off of that as I got older. I remember going to the Izod Center when I was in college. Like, I was at Monmouth University, but I took the train wearing a Duke jersey. And I went to that game, and it was Duke versus Temple. And I remember I was sitting behind a guy. He was wearing all the Duke fans out. He's like, sing the fight song. None of you are Duke alumni. You guys are a bunch of idiots. You guys are Duke fans from watching them on TV. They're in North Carolina. I bet you've never even been to campus. And I was like, that was the time where I was like, yeah, you're right, bro. You're right, bro. It started to fade for me around that time.
How about
You put in multiple brackets?
Yeah, doesn't everybody?
No, sheet of integrity, man.
Nah, please miss me with that. Why would you make one bracket? No, like that's stupid. Making one bracket and putting your money on that, you're donating the money.
Guy, sheet of integrity.
Nah, bro, I used to make like 8 brackets and then narrow it down to two that were completely different. And anyone that went to Ocean High School, I used to be the guy that made, or we used to have to print out brackets. I used to be in the teacher's room printing out brackets for everybody. And I would always have the heart and the mind. What my heart thinks, what my mind thinks. And my heart would go with like Duke, right? There were some years I won with Duke. When Duke won, then every year Duke won the national championship, 2015, 2010. Like I won those years because as a Duke fan, my heart was telling me Duke. But then other years, my mind bracket, I would always have the heart and the mind, my 2 brackets, and then maybe I'll have a bonus one. I think this year total I made 3. I only put money on 2. But yeah, back in high school, I used to be collecting the $10, printed out brackets, putting them together. You don't make one bracket. I'm hearing more of that. I was watching the coverage and the panel was talking about how many brackets you got. You're supposed to have one bracket. Since when? Since when? It's even easier now. It's all digital. I can go to the app and make a bunch of. You can now. The app was like they'll randomize it for you. They'll randomly put a bracket together. What if they randomize it for you and you win?
It takes skill enough.
There's no skill.
It takes it out of what you really think. Like, who do you really think is going to win?
Duke.
Should be it.
Duke. I just think they're like Cooper Flag, Proctor. Like last year, they beat JMU last year. I remember last year. Last year, I knew JMU was beating Wisconsin. Who they beat last year? I made bank on. I remember I was down in Florida and couldn't bet. And I called my homie Mike, was like, yo, put 500 on JMU money line, put another 5 on them to cover this spread. Alternate spread. I'm like, they're not losing. I think it was Wisconsin they played or somebody. Speaking of not being able to bet, this is my first time in Tampa at the Hard Rock. I'll tell you some stories from there. Some people that I saw. Somebody very interesting that I saw, not at the Hard Rock, but he absolutely ducked me. We'll talk about it. Keith McPherson on the fan dial, 888-808-1019. Salute to opening day. Join WFAN and me, Keith McPherson, at stands across from Yankee Stadium from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Thursday, March 27th. Celebrate the start of the season with Corona specials and giveaways, all presented by Corona, the official surveys of Major League Baseball. It's officially the start of baseball season, and Corona wants you to tell your boss you're taking off opening day. Enjoy opening day with an ice-cold Corona in your hand. Please drink responsibly. It's funny, right? The ad read says, tell your boss you're taking off. I'm not taking off. All right. So I think my boy Tyler had to go to bed or had to duck his parents or something. I don't miss them days. Now I'm a parent. In 13 years, my son's going to be watching somebody stream trying to duck me. I'm be like, hey, take your ass to bed. Welcome back, Keith. Juan Soto will be better than Aaron Judge this year. In what regard? Hitting? Batting average? OPS? Homers? I don't see that. All right. Speaking of Aaron Judge, let's get it. Bro, that BT call had me dying. He said, I'm turning my car around. Where you at? I don't know why they were trolling BT about the whole drinking thing. It's like, you can't even tell people stuff. Like on the radio, you just want to like live in it and talk about, yeah, we're out here. We try to get the bar to stay open early or stay open late. And people are like, oh, he's drinking with the team. That's something I said in the Twitch chat this morning. I'm like, my experience being on WFAN, you could say 100 different things. People hear what they want to hear, no matter how you say it. I'll read stuff that I did not say. I'll read stuff about me. I'm like, I didn't say that. I didn't even kind of say it like that. People hear what they want to hear. Andrew, what up, man? So Steve, he's like, you got to mention our Nets. It's over. What is there to mention about the Nets? They lost 120 to 101 tonight. They're about to they're not making the play-in, and they're about to not have a good pick either. I just don't care for them. I got offered tickets to go tonight. And honestly, I'm not going to a Nets game this entire year, and that's on purpose. I used to go to the games all the time. I'm not going, bro. Cam Thomas got hurt. I'm like, I'm definitely not going. So, like, y'all want me to talk about the Nets? I will when there's something to talk about. They're not relevant. Like, they screwed up big time in the last couple years. That KD Kyrie era, it shouldn't have been so short-lived, bro. Like, they made a bunch of mistakes with coaches and hiring. Like, they're bums. And they do this to us. It's a cycle of this as a Nets fan. You have a couple years of, yeah, we're good. We're going to the playoffs. We got some players. And then it goes right down to SHIT, bro. I'm good. Don't be like the rest of them. The rest of the hosts on WFAN, they're not Nets fans. And like even like Evan Roberts can't really force the Nets conversation. Remember last year when the Dodgers were celebrating on the field of the stadium, Soto was alone and staring? Yeah, because he knew he was out. Out at the field, he knew it was over for him, right? Of course, he knew he was done. And then like half an hour later, he's talking about, I'm available to all 30 teams. Like he knew that he was going to the Mets. He knew it was his last time as a Yankee. Hey Keith, would you take a shot on Brandon Drury? Nah. We already did. What year was Brandon Drury with the Yankees? Like 2016 or something like that. We already did. If he cannot make the White Sox, like I don't think that's a guy you take a shot on. That's like JD Davis. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's just a waste of time. Like it's a waste of time and money. The Yankees, if the Yankees are supposed to be trying to win the American League and they have the best odds in the American League to win the World Series, then like you got to get impact players. If not, like let your younger players play. I'm good on Brandon Drury. I think he's cooked. Boone didn't like Soto in a Mets uniform. I mean, he looked better in pinstripes. Great picks with your son. That's the life. Yeah, I have a couple picks from taking the baby to Tampa. You know, it's become like a family trip tradition. Last year I took him. He wasn't one yet. So it was like, I don't know, it wasn't even worth it. I shouldn't even take him last year. But this year was a lot better. He turns 2 on the 13th, and he like can talk and understand things, and like he's more of a little person. What do you think of Soto's comments towards the Yankee fans, talking a lot of smack before he does anything? Nah, he's just keeping it 100. Like
they should Gallo on the spot.
Was that Gallo's voice? He said you got to be ready for anything with the Yankee fans. He's right.
Good evening at 11 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti. Juan Soto got a chance to see his former club for the first time. Yankees and Mets played to a 6-6 tie in spring action. So what did Aaron Boone have to say to Soto? That courtesy of SNY. Bombers also made a move. They brought in veteran lefty Ryan Yarbrough on a one-year deal, $2 million. 33-year-old could be a second lefty out of the pen, along with being a spot starter. Anthony Davis returned for the Mavericks, finished with 12.6 rebounds as they finished off the Nets 120-105. Nick Claxton led Brooklyn with 19. Islanders missed out on a chance for a crucial second point, fell to the Blue Jackets 4-3 in a shootout, giving back a 2-0 advantage. Isles do get a point, now tied with the Rangers, 1 point behind Montreal for that final wild card. Canucks, they outlast the Devils 4-3 in a shootout, pair of goals for Timo Meier. And Cam Ward at his pro day shined. For Shedeur Sanders, there's a report that Dion said, let's hope for New York, when questioned this weekend at a convention about where he'd like his son to land. However, there is no audio or actually video of the alleged statement. 48 degrees, cloudy skies, Central Park, and that's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
So, I mean, I guess he where was it? I guess he is hurt and he did perform for them, but I don't know. Brandon Drury to me did not really move the needle in my mind. I wasn't really like when I heard Brandon Drury, and if he's hurt, then why would we want another hurt player? Anyway, back to it. BX. This is a Bronx anthem. Shout out to Fat Joe, man. There's no such thing as a Fat Joe curse. Jealous ones still envy. Jose. Terror Squad. Shout out to the Terror Squad, Bleacher Creatures, the whole gang. We back on River Ave Thursday, 888-808-1019. I was far from River Ave. I was down in Tampa at the Seminole Hard Rock. Shout out to the Seminole Hard Rock. One, I didn't even know there was a casino down there until week 18. Mike Evans gets that 1,000 yards, and they interview Mike Evans from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll talk about the Bucs in a minute too. You know, I just blanked on something. I just got a text. I was like, that just took me somewhere else. So Mike Evans is talking about where he's going to go after he got the 1,000 yards, and I guess he triggered a bonus. And he's like, oh, I'm going to a casino. I'm like, where the hell is there a casino? And they're like, oh, you're not worried about fans chasing you through the casino? And he's like, nah, they can't get to where I'm going to get. He gets to go to the VIP in the high roller spot. So that piqued my interest. I'm like, okay, there's a casino in Tampa. I was unaware. And I grew up going to Atlantic City from age 16 to 26, like religiously, consistently racing from Monmouth County down to Atlantic City. Who could get there in under an hour? All of us could. But when I found that out, I was like, okay, I want to see that when we go to Tampa. And shout out to my wife, just being smart. She reached out on my behalf to be like, hey, you know, my husband's a radio host, works with WFAN, the Yankees radio network. We see you guys have a partnership with them. You know, we want to see, you know, what your rates are in exchange for social media, blah, 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 blah. And they were with it. They were down. So, hey, I've stayed in multiple hotels. I wanted to stay in the Don Caesar this year. I stayed at Airbnbs down there in Tampa. It's become a yearly thing. So, you know, I go down there, and I remember, like I said last year, not being able to bet from my FanDuel app. I think the Seminole Hard Rock is like one of the only places you can bet. And I also think their app is where I think you can bet there too. And that's also where Calvin Ridley got tripped up while he was down in Florida or something. He got in trouble gambling on that app. But either way, you can go there and you can sports gamble. They got a kiosk for you to punch in your bets. And there's a bunch of table games and everything. It was cool. It was a cool little experience. And, you know, one of the second to last nights, I'm walking through the casino, and I forget. I think it was the night my wife lost. My wife doesn't gamble. I'm losing all the money. She's losing all her belongings. I'm like, this casino is taking us for everything. They're taking me for cash. They're taking you for your stuff. She lost her credit card upstairs at the buffet, and then she lost her bag at the pool where, like, we were going to the lost and found too much. Anyway, I think it was that night we were looking for her bag and going to the lost and found. I'm walking through, and it's not the high rollers table. It's a regular blackjack table. And there's this like big back dude at the blackjack table. And there's this lady. I thought she was security at first because she had all black on. And this lady is like putting her forearm into his back, almost like massaging his back. I'm like, what the hell? And like, I notice everything. My wife's always like, you got eagle eye. You can spot celebrities, athletes, entertainers. I'm like, I see everybody. And so I see this dude, and I'm like, I know that dude. I'm like, where the hell I know that dude from? I'm like, yo, that's Hassan Reddick. And I Google Hassan Reddick, and if you Google Hassan Reddick right now, a picture of Michael Clemens comes up. But anyway, I Google Hassan Reddick. I'm like, that is him. It's a big dude. He had a cap on, and he had a beard, and he had this girl. So like, all right, I'm not trying to call attention to it, and he's obviously not trying to call attention to himself because he's out on the regular tables, not in the high roller tables. But I'm like, this chick, she was fine too. She's probably like, I don't know, she was fit, probably like 5'5", and I thought she was security because she had this thing around her waist. No, the thing around her waist was like, it's like she was his personal drink girl, and I'm peeping all this. I'm telling my wife, that's definitely Hassan Reddick. She's like, I don't know who that is. I'm like, Hassan Reddick just signed with the Tampa Bay Bucs for millions. He was with the Jets. I'm like, that's definitely Hassan Reddick. So I didn't end up getting to go back and say what's up to him, but I kind of, peeped the second time I walked around. I'm like, that's definitely Hassan Reddick. He had his own drink girl. He was kind of hunched over the table, so people couldn't really see him. All you saw was his like arms and his back. I saw his beard and the hat, and the girl is what caught my attention because I'm like, is this security? These guys on security? I'm like, oh no. The second time I came around, he's got his own drink girl. That girl is specifically working for him. That's cool. 888-808-1019 as I proceeded to, lose in roulette, blackjack, and any of the slips that I put together for March Madness were failing. I can't hit a parlay. And then in my phone, once I got back home, I kept trying to do the margins where you can choose them to win by like 1 to 5 or 6 to 10 or win by 11. And I was trying to parlay like that just to get a little more juice. Nah, popped. I'm done. I'm limping to payday. Back to the phones we go, talking about March Madness, St. John's, brackets, all that good stuff. Anthony is in Brooklyn on the Fan. What's up, Anthony?
First time listener as well. But yeah, dude, I'm a little hurt about the Johnnies when I'm hearing on the radio. I feel for BC. I've been a fan for 25 years. I've gone to school there, and Big East regular season champs, Big East tournament champs, get out of the first round. There's a lot to be positive about this year, man, and I just feel like fans don't really understand the struggle that some of the real fans have to go through. And we have to build this team up, man, because they got a bright future ahead of them. And I'm a one bracket guy too, by the way, so I definitely play on that one. So, but I just wanted to give my 2 cents about the Johnnies because they're getting a lot of hate, man. But they had a phenomenal year. Last thing that I will say, I do disagree with you. I think that Patino, has to keep RJ in there. I think that there was about like 3 to 4 minutes left, and it's a close game. They're down 6 or 7. So I definitely, think that he should have maybe swallowed his pride a little bit. It was a historic year, and who knows what, would have happened if RJ is still out there, man. He's the Big East player of the year.
Yeah. Thanks for the first time listen and call, Anthony, and you being a St. John's guy. I'm sympathizing with you. Like, that's what I'm talking about when people are helicoptering in, where I say, like, you expect them to go from being David to Goliath, right? There's all these people helicoptering in being like, this is a failure. Like, they're supposed to be a blue blood juggernaut and supposed to cruise to the Final Four all of a sudden because they're a 2 seed. They earn that 2 seed through the regular season, through the Big East tournament. That doesn't mean that they're going to get into the dance and just run through, right? Like, it's a building block. It's I think it's a year that will be remembered, and I think it's a year that put them on the map and is going to attract better talent and better players. And when you talk about RJ Lewis, right, in that situation, yeah, maybe he stays in the game, he gets hot, but no. I think you could all kind of look at the game and feel the game, and his coach could as well, and felt like this guy was forcing it. It's not happening. And, he kind of went away from the team and the team ball, and he had a tough day. And, even afterwards, right? They talked about his minutes. And I think Patino said to the guy, stop asking, leading questions. I know what you're trying to get at. He played 30 minutes. He played enough. And in that 30 minutes, he had 0 assists. He had 9 points, 7 rebounds, but he wasn't himself. He had a bad game. And again, these are kids. Patino is going to coach these kids the way he's always coached. And, I mean, you're going to feel some type of way about it because there's something that tells you, they lost by 9. Maybe RJ gets hot and hits some threes. He's the only shooter they had. But, nah, that was a decision made by a coach, knowing his player, knowing his team, and even knowing the moment and hoping that it sparked something different or they got something going. The result is what the result is. And you know what? These results aren't so shocking. I remember taking calls saying, Keith, they can't shoot the 3. They can't shoot from the foul line. Like, these type of things are going to damn them in the tournament. And I'm like, I think their defense will carry. We'll see who they draw. They end up drawing a team that was ready, that had the bodies and the athleticism to beat them. But does that mean it's a terrible season? No. Does that mean it's a failure of a year? No. I think this is a huge year for St. John's. The marketing of the team, attracting better players, attracting more fans, and they build on it from here. And now there's expectation. I just think it's crazy that, one, the expectation went from them being a story of, David versus Goliath. Like, they were nothing. They were a doormat. They were a joke. And they emerged this year. And when they emerged, 2 things happened. One, people's expectations immediately were like, oh, they got to win the whole thing. They got to win it all. Even like, I remember the first game they won, in the post-game press conference, they're asking Zuby, hey, why aren't you smiling? And he kind of gave him like a, job's not finished. Like, yeah, I'm happy whenever we win, but there's more. Like, they wanted to win the whole thing. But it's like, what do you can't win, right? You damned if you do, damned if you don't. If the kid's smiling too much, if BT's drinking after the game, people are, well, don't you celebrate something that this, program hasn't done in years? Don't you get ahead of yourselves? It's one win. They got to win the whole thing. So I don't know. And as far as the one bracket goes, I've never been a one bracket guy. One bracket to me is like buying one raffle ticket, one 50-50 ticket. You're not going to win. You think you're getting Willy Wonka's golden ticket that way? You're not. Nick is in Marlboro. Nick, you're on the fan. What's up, man?
How's it going, Keith? Thanks for taking the call.
Thanks.
I wanted to make talk about the whole Boo and Juan Soto thing, but first, real quick, the whole making one bracket thing is people got to get with the times. Everybody's making multiple brackets. I'm in a bracket group with I think 30 something people, and there's close to 70 brackets. So people are making multiple.
I think here at WFAN, I put 2 brackets in, and I thought I was doing too much with 2. I was like, all right, because it's the work. But I'm like, nah, you're allowed to. And then I saw Mark Malusis had 5 or 6. It's like Mark Malusis 1, Mark Malusis 2, Mark Malusis, because it ups your chances to win the pot. The pot is thousands of dollars.
Exactly, and you mentioned how back in the day, people would print brackets out. You write it. That was more of the time where people did one bracket just because you had to go through the effort of printing it out, filling it out, and then giving it to someone.
Right.
And with everything all online, everyone makes multiple brackets. I got Houston in one, I got Florida, I got Duke.
You can play in ESPN, you can play in CBS, you can play, you can make it in multiple places.
Exactly. And in regards, I heard I've been in DC talking about it earlier today. I heard Juan Soto got all the booze down at Fort St. Lucie. My personal opinion is I understand the booze, coming from Yankee fans. Personally, I'll be in the building that Friday night, the first night of the Subway Series. I'm not going to have the heart to do it. I think my reason is just simply because he was responsible for probably the best sports moment in my life. I was at the Game 5 in Cleveland, and just the amount of joy and happiness that he gave me that night. It's going to be tough for me to stand there and boo him. I'm going to the game with a bunch of Met fans. A bunch of my buddies are all Met fans. I don't think I'm going to have, the heart to do it, but I do understand why other Yankee fans would. Just the fact that he left, went to your crosstown rival. But yeah, that's it.
Thanks for the call, Nick. I mean, if understood, I had tears in my eyes. The tears hit when I saw, the Yankees actually holding up the pennant and Stan getting the MVP and seeing Hal and Cashman. I'm like when it actually hit, wow, we're going to a World Series. I was emotional then, but I can't imagine if you went out to Cleveland and watched with your own eyes. That means that Juan Soto holds a literal special place to you where you have the ultimate respect for the guy. You're not going to boo him. Not everybody feels that way. Not everybody's going to feel that way. Not when there's 50,000 in the Bronx. It's going to be loud. I mean, these guys boo Judge. If Judge goes 0 for 4, he gets booed. There are going to be fans that boo him. And yeah, back to when you had to print out a bracket, sure, right? You got to go use ink and printer paper, and you got to sit there, and your wrist is getting tight because you're drawing out. You're writing UConn. Shout out to UConn, they lost too. Shout out to Marquette, they lost too. You're writing out these team names. Then I understand you only making one. But even me, I use pencil with erase, and I would have multiple brackets. I'm telling you, I used to be in the teacher's office. How the teachers have their own lounge. I used to be in the teacher's lounge, Miss McPherson, what are you doing? Oh, I'm printing out 40 brackets. We have a pool going. Yes. When we used to be in the same teacher's lounge when the game started. Back in the day when there wasn't a phone or a tablet to stream it on, you just ask to go to the bathroom, pop in, put the game on the TV in there. Had multiple brackets. I'm telling you, the heart and the mind. Somebody from OT is listening. I used to collect the cash. I always would have Keith McPherson's heart, Keith McPherson's mind, at least 2 brackets. And now that you can do it on these apps, you should have multiple brackets. You know what I'm doing that's cool? This is the only thing I actually did hit on. some of my friends from Chicago put together like Super Bowl boxes for March Madness, where you can buy a box, $30, you buy a box, and I think you get the different numbers, right? You get a winning number, losing number. I think in the UCLA Tennessee game, I think I had 7 and 8, and I forget what the score was, but I like hit on that box. So I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, UCLA lost to Tennessee 67-8. So I had the winning number 7, losing number 8, and I hit on that box. And I have a couple other. I think I have 6 and 4 and 6 and 3, and I think every round that you progress, the pot gets bigger. So that's another cool way to play in March Madness. That's the only thing that I hit. My parlays are shameful. And you know what else I was playing, man? I was playing the halves. Because like I knew St. John's wasn't winning the first half. They lost so many first halves this year. I knew to bet against them first half. Who else was it? I think I bet Vandy and somebody else first half. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares about the bets that you lost. 888-808-1019. Ryan is in Breezy Point, New York. Ryan, you got it next.
Hey, what's going on, Keith? Look, I was there every night in both Jamaica and at MSG, and I went up to Providence over the weekend. Such a gut punch way to end. No second guessing a Hall of Fame coach in the context of the moment with Richmond DQ'd. Just really hard to go down without your big
Yes.
team. I'm just saying, without Richmond there, it's like pinch hitting for Alonzo in the ninth, right? Like he might walk into one. That's the only potential.
It's slim chance of winning or figuring it out. Yeah.
And being there in real time and close, like he looked sick, man. Like he didn't look like himself. He didn't give you the plus up outside of his offensive game that he gave you all year, right? Like when he wasn't scoring, he always went to the glass. He would make things happen in the passing lanes, and he just didn't side to side, up and down. He just didn't have it. I don't know what it was, right? Like after watching a guy for 28 games be somebody, he wasn't the same dude. Full faith in Coach Pitino, a wonderful year. The only thing that cautions me about the building block narrative is I just have an appreciation for how hard it is to be here. St. John's hasn't been in that spot, and I've watched them in Madison Square Garden with 1,500 people. Like it was me and
Right.
PT and my boys, so I don't want to just be dismissive and say like, hey, what a building block year. Next year is going to be better. Like there's no guarantee of that. You went 18-2 in the Big East, and when you're in that spot, you'd like to lose at your best, right? Like if Kadari went 35 and RJ gave you at least a representative performance, you feel real good about it, or at least you'd be able to come to terms with it a lot faster. And that just felt like it got robbed from us, either controllables or uncontrollables. And I know that the New York topic is bereft of context much. That's as much context as I could give you, brother. And I really wish all those guys the best because they gave New York something to root for. And that product is really exciting, right? Like college basketball, the variability, it's not the sanitized NBA product like night in and night out. These guys play their tails off. And, I hope to see RJ and Zuby back with some additions, including Simeon Wilcher, who I'd love to see that through with as well. Great ride from the Johnnies, all respect to coach, but just, that's a great argument, right, Keith? Like a great New York argument.
Sure.
Swinging your best bat in the ninth inning, like not second guess.
Yep. Right.
Guess
No, I 100%. Yeah, 100% agree with you as far as like it just being slim chance. Like you kind of went down knowing that you were going down.
He walked in one in Atlanta. Don't forget that, right? Like, so, you know, the alternatives were not going to give you that last 5 minutes. He saw 2 free throws go through the basket, and he was subbed out and never came back in the game. And look, you saw Ghost all night. I was very disappointed with his effort, but it's an interesting topic. I don't think anybody's on the wrong side of the argument.
Maybe it motivates him to come back. Thanks for the call, Ryan. Maybe this is just the beginning of the story, and that's what I'm saying with the building blocks, and that's what I'm saying with, you know, maybe some other better players from across the country want to transfer in or whatever. And also, you know, you talking about being there with 1,500 people. Like what I was saying before is this is so rare. That's why it just surprised me to see people hating on him. How can you hate on the little guy that never gets here? And then also talking about, you know, you as a fan, Ryan, like not so sure that they get there next year. Again, that's why I didn't understand the hate for St. John's or the negativity around people hoping that they lose. Like this might be a one-off, or this could be the beginning of them being perennial contenders. We don't know. And then that's the thing with like all these professional sports, right? This is a college team. It's different now. The college game has changed. It's not freshmen turning into seniors in 4 years. This is NIL, transfer portal, and this is also shorter window with Rick Pitino. What if they never win the Big East again? What if they never get a number 2 seed again? We don't know. But now you have a lot more people engaged. You have a lot more people paying attention, and I think there's a lot more motion with the fans, with the alumni, with the university, and that's a positive thing. I think it was a good year. It didn't end the right way. It didn't end in a storybook fashion, but ultimately I think it's something that they can build on. 888-808-1019. I got a break. Keep McPherson on the fan. When we come back, I got to talk Jameis Winston. BRB. All right. I wanted to check my text. It's like having Superman on your side. He's going to do some things for the next decade and a half that are going to make you love the Mets and love watching baseball. And for Yankees fans, you have a villain now. You have a guy that whether he's dropping a pop-up, or one is going over his head, or he's getting thrown out in second, or he has a day he goes over 4, some people are going to lean into that. Some of you going to love to hate Juan Soto. It's good to have a villain. It's WWE. It's all wrestling, right? If I saw Juan Soto today, I'd shake his hand. But like, I might be in Yankee Stadium the weekend of May 16th, and he comes out, I might just boo his ass. I might just feel that way. And that's okay. That's my right. All right, y'all. I was posting. There was an Islanders call, Brooklyn Nets issues. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not talk about Jameis, bro. They released him because he broke his thumb. Now, would you? He hit 410 in the spring. To play third base for the Yankees? Maybe, man. Maybe, man. And I did see someone say, Richard, minor league contract, maybe. But, like, I don't know. I'm not really worried about Brandon Drury. Keith, why do you think you would have been able to go pro in football? Tell Sean Morash I don't say hi. Noah Simon. Did I ever say I would go pro in football? I played with some pros. I don't think I ever said I thought I was going pro in football, bro. And I think anybody that went to college with me knew I was not trying to go pro. What up? You're coming up. You're all right, let's do it. Jameis. Shout out to Jameis. Jameis is hanging with Kay Adams. Just when you think that that's Daniel Jones' girl, nope. Jameis got her. Jameis is with Kay Adams. And I'm excited for Jameis. I'm ecstatic, actually. I like him. I think he's a good player. I grew up also rooting for Florida State, the Noles. Oh, so when you talk about Jameis, make sure you mention that he won a Heisman. He won the national championship. He was the #1 pick. So many of y'all want to talk about crab legs and incidents and interceptions. It's just corny, man. I'm like, so many people say the same things. Think for yourself. 888-808-1019. Oh, he stole some crab legs. So when I was younger, I actually got recruited by Florida State. No way was I going to Florida State, but they sent me mail and they invited me to a spring workout. So spring break my junior year, convinced my mom, let's go to Tallahassee. Shout out to good old mom. All right, let's go to Tallahassee. We go to Tallahassee. I get to go and watch spring practice. I remember meeting Xavier Lee and Charlie Sexton, and I actually went into the Winn-Dixie that Jameis Winston stole the crab legs from. And you know what? This was long before Jameis Winston did, but what I remember in that Winn-Dixie, like they had the like area where they had like crab legs and shrimp and lobster and stuff like that on ice, where you could kind of go up, grab your own, put it in a bag. And if you follow Jameis talked about how he had like an agreement with one of the guys in there that he could come in there and get crab legs. Well, he wasn't sneaking. He wasn't going in there trying to steal something and like, oh, dude, he wasn't going in there like Pink Panther or something like they made it seem like he was going in there hijacking the place, like he was sticking the place up. No, he did it multiple times. But I think Jameis is a young man, or was a young man. That's another thing too. Please update your information. He's a grown man now. What's Jameis now? 31? Like he's not 20, 21 in college. But I think as a young man, he was so fun-loving and just loved playing sports. Also pitched for Florida State football. I remember seeing the Yankees back then. They did like some type of spring game or something where Jameis got to meet Jorge Posada and Jeter. But he was such a fun-loving type of guy, innocent type of guy, unaware and naive type of guy. He didn't think that anybody was watching him. He didn't think that anybody was on some cameras. He didn't think anybody was going to be like, that's Jameis Winston. He's stealing. And he ended up getting in a lot of trouble. The same way that he got in trouble when he stood up on the table in front of a bunch of students, and what he said I can't say, but it got him in trouble. He ended up, I think, getting suspended for it. He said a popular quote. I don't even know how to tap dance around this one. I remember even putting my notes together. There's a video with Harbaugh. Jameis Winston and Harbaugh have an interview. I'm going to play it. Where he said the crab legs were given to me, not stolen. I'm going to play it in a minute. But also Harbaugh goes on to ask him if he has a sex addiction. A sex addiction. He doesn't have a sex addiction. Maybe his former teammate Deshaun Watson does, Justin Tucker. But, what he said when he jumped on that table and got in trouble, man, it's something that I used to say. It's something that the homies used to say. It's something that was made popular by an old man, and people used to say it on live newscasts. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, 888-808-1019, somebody is. That phrase that he jumped up and said, a random student could say it. Jameis Winston, the starting quarterback of the football team, Jimbo Fisher's quarterback, you can't do that. And so he made those mistakes, and they followed him. And I just look at him now. He's still fun-loving. He's a God-fearing man. He's a Christian. I love that about him. He is very outward with his belief in his Lord Jesus Christ, and he wants God to deliver him from pick sixes. And he talks about how blessed he is to, be able to play in snow. All of that is coming to New York. And I remind you, Giants fans or Giants haters, beggars cannot be choosers. You don't really get to go out there and pick. You don't get to say, Aaron Rodgers, come on down. Aaron Rodgers gets to tell you, wait. And for 2 years, $8 million, steal of a deal. You know why? The Giants don't have enough quarterbacks that throw touchdowns over the years. He does. So as much as you want to talk about the year he had 30 interceptions, which also all interceptions are not created equal, Some of those are tip balls. Some of those are assists. They need to create a assisted interceptions that knock off a guy's hand or helmet or chest pad or a shoulder pad. Talk about his 30 touchdowns too. Don't just talk about the 30 interceptions. Talk about the 30 touchdowns. The Giants, they don't ever have anybody throwing for 30 touchdowns. 888-808-1019. He might not be the starting quarterback week 1, but if he is, don't panic. He's better than what you've had. He's already the best quarterback you've had in here since Eli, right? You guys had another quarterback from Tampa Bay that you were rocking with, Mike Glennon. He's much better than Mike Glennon, and he's box office. He's going to give you quotables. He's going to give you locker room energy and vibes. He's going to have these pregame speeches that make you laugh, but also, you need that in your locker room. After Tommy DeVito was talking about the departure of guys like Sterling Shepard and Saquon Barkley and what they meant in the locker room, people talking about how much money they paid Darius Slayton and they wouldn't pay Saquon because Slayton is a locker room guy. He's been there through all these different iterations of the Giants, and he's kind to the media. He's there for his teammates, so they paid him to keep him there. And speaking of wide receivers, Lil Jordan Humphrey, he can go. He can go. That's a guy that also solves one of your problems, Giants fans. Kick returns, punt returns. He could take it to the house. You draw up some gadget plays for him, he's wide open. Zach Pascal as well. Little marginal moves like that. I see what the Giants are doing. They're adding some talent. And the next thing they got to do is add a quarterback in the draft. Cam Ward threw today. I watched the whole pro day. He's going to the Tennessee Titans. He was yucking it up with Bill Callahan and the Titans. The Titans, Bill Callahan does not want to go through another year with Will Levis. He'd much rather start fresh with a rookie, his own guy. They're taking Cam Ward at number 1. That dream is over. Shedeur Sanders should be drafted at number 3 overall for the Giants. Prime is out there talking about it. We'll talk more about it. We got a break. Keith McPherson on the Fan, now introducing the conversation around the New York Giants, Jameis Winston, Shedeur Sanders, not Cam Ward. So all those dreams of a quarterback room that had Cam Ward and Aaron Rodgers, I think that's done. Even though they're telling you they're still pursuing Aaron Rodgers, I think that's done. Salute to opening day. Join WFAN and me, Keith McPherson, at stands across from Yankee Stadium from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Thursday, March 27th. Celebrate the start of the season with Corona specials and giveaways, all presented by Corona, the official cerveza of Major League Baseball. It's officially the start of baseball season, and Corona wants you to tell your boss you're taking off opening day. Enjoy opening day with an ice-cold Corona in your hand. Please drink responsibly. All right. Where am I at? Well, I got to find that video. Let me see. I got to find this Harbaugh. Yo, this video is hilarious, bro. Yo, I just sent you the video on YouTube. We gotta come back with Harbaugh talking to Jameis as he's getting drafted about the snow crab legs and the sex addiction. That's funny, man. Where was I at here? He didn't get a chance to catch the earlier part of the show. Did you talk about what Evan and Tiki wanted to ask you if you'd give Juan Soto a roll call? I didn't hear that. I didn't listen to their show today. I have my son. I heard a little bit of it, and I also was watching Cam Ward's pro day. Did they say that? I'll bring that up. There's no way in hell Juan Soto would get a roll call. Maybe some goofies might do that. It was a Publix. What did I say? Winn-Dixie? I think because I just went to Winn-Dixie, but good call on that. You know what I mean. I'll correct that too. Thanks, John. Now that the Giants have Winston, which I said weeks ago, do you think they take Travis? I don't know. They could, but I think just go ahead and take Shador, man. Do you think they will still get that draft pick, Shador, for the Giants? I think so.
You recording?
Oh, I'm live, yeah.
All right. Mute it for a sec.
I like Jameis, bro. I'm a Jameis Winston fan. I'm not gonna hold you. Football reference for Jameis. Oh, please. People want to come in and talk down on the boy Jameis Winston. Give me a break. Beggars can't be choosers out here. He throws touchdowns. He wins games. Let me see. Let me see if I can post this right now. Okay. Oh, little Chris Breezy on the fan. Back to the crib. I'm back to the crib. Back to WFAN. The home of your Giants, Yankees, and Nets. 888-808-1019. Still talking March Madness in St. John's. Peter in Manhattan. You got it. Go for it. We're great. Had a good break, reset. My wife literally said before I walked out tonight, she's like, wow, I just got to spend the whole week every day with you and Jack. And I'm like, yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
Agree with you in many respects. I mean, there's the 3 points, like the 3-point shooting, falling behind early on, free throw shooting finally cost them. And I think the SEC is just that much better than the Big East.
But the one thing I will disagree, Keith, I think you're taking RJ out with 4:56 to go. I mean, the alternative that you have with Patino is you're bringing a bunch of scrubs. Now, for the last 4:56, they only scored 4 points. I mean, so that's the only disagreement I have with Patino's coaching. But other than that, I agree with you. Very successful year, and I think St. John is back on the map, and we'll see what happens. Keith, thanks for taking my call, and welcome back.
Thanks for the call, Peter. Yeah, it's something we'll all remember. It's something that they'll have to live with. I think Patino will have to live with. It was a decision that he made, and that's sports. You make a decision hoping for different results, better results, and they don't go your way, and you got to live with it. You got to live with how the cookie crumbles. That's it. 888-808-1019. Get your popcorn ready. Here comes Popcorn Rob in Babylon.
Hey, man, Keith, first and foremost, you already know. Thanks for taking my call. Let me say this, man. One thing I do know is that you can't take out your best player, man, at any given time. One, the offense is being ran through this individual, right? So while you taking him out, you're taking away the threat that this team has been trying, your opponent has been trying to adjust to. They're adjusted to it. They're looking at film of how this guy plays. Now, when you take him out, now you subtracting not only a job that they have to defend, but also you're taking out the mobility of your own squad. Like all of a sudden now you notice how once he was taken out, now they have to figure out, okay, well, we practiced basically for 24 hours or however long, well, they had a week before they faced the opponent. So you looked at film and you're seeing how different players, respond and how they play, what they say. And then all of a sudden now, after looking through film and after pretty much getting your game set to that opponent, now you took all of that away. Basketball is not like football where you only get roughly, or with a full game, you might get what? How many possessions? Maybe 7, 8 at a whole. Basketball, you got 24-second shot clock. You got 48 minutes. Now, right there, at any given time, that individual can heat up. And all of a sudden, now those baskets are dropping. You got 4 minutes. How many points can you score in 4 minutes, knowing that the offense is being ran behind, through this individual, and the fact that your team has adjusted to play against the opponents. You can't take guys out like that, man. Thanks for taking my call, Keith.
Thanks for making the call, and I understand everybody's. I don't disagree, but I'm just saying you're going like this is the coach going with that decision. The guy had a rough game, one of his worst games, and they're willing to live with it. And you could talk about the money they get paid. You could talk about the offense, how they run it. He was having a tough go at it. So they were hoping for different results, right? He said he let his teammates down, right? In that moment, they were hoping that somebody on the team would step up without him on the floor, right? He was kind of playing hero ball. He was trying to go for it on his own and not finding his teammates. So they sat him down, almost like the principle of it, almost like even a Hail Mary. Almost like a break glass in case of emergency. Yes, this is our best player, but he ain't got it right now. Let's give him a different look. And hey, that's how the cookie crumbles. That's it. You can't change it. I know we can only, like Popcorn Rob just said. Well, what if he heated up? He wasn't heating up the whole 30 minutes. He didn't have it the whole game. He was going to have it in winning time and crunch time. Patino thought differently, and I would lean on Patino knowing his player, knowing his guy, knowing his team, and feeling like that's what he had to do. And, he took a pretty hard stance on it after the game. Like I said, Lewis said, I let my teammates down. I love the guys we fought through adversity, yada, yada, yada. Patino didn't want to answer questions about why he was on the bench. Why he was on the bench. He was struggling, wasn't playing the team game, wasn't getting his teammates involved. It wasn't working. And that's how it'll be remembered until next year. Maybe he comes back next year and they write a different story. That's not really where I'm at with all of it. Where I'm with it is the grand scheme of things, the overall picture. People saying that it was a failure of a season. It was a failure how they lost. And, this like I look at it in the grand scheme of things. Nobody had them as a number 2 seed in the tournament. No one had them ranked as a top 10 team all year, and they got there. They won the Big East tournament. They won the Big East outright. I think it's a positive. I think it's a positive year. I think it's a building block type of year, and we'll see what they do from here. What if they are perennial contenders every year forward? What if they take a step forward next year? 888-808-1019. When we come back, we got to play Jameis Winston when he was coming into the draft talking with Jim Harbaugh. It cracked me up to hear this conversation. We got to play it for you. And then we'll talk more St. John's, I guess, too, but like more Jameis, Giants, and then obviously still talking Juan Soto, Mets, Yankees, getting all of that in tonight. We got 2 hours left. I'll say good morning on the other side. Keep McPherson on the fan. I'll be right back. I don't really want to talk about the Nets. Let's see here. Now I got to read about Jameis Winston and this like girl that like, I don't know, bro. He reached a settlement, a Uber. The woman alleged that in March 2016, while waiting in a drive-thru at Los Betos restaurant in Scottsdale, Arizona, Winston leaned toward her, placed his fingers between her legs, and pressed them firmly against her vagina over her yoga pants. Oh, nah. Oh, nah. You're late again. What's good? You know, there's so many instances of these guys. Like, I'm going to talk about it. I'll save it for the air. My husband was watching UConn Carolina against Florida State, and Florida State won. Enjoyed watching the game. Women's game? I don't know. MLB needs to move the start of the season back to Saturday after the Final Four. They will eventually. Everyone else would open the season Sunday. This brings back casual fans, and I want that even if it meant the World Series goes to as late as the weekend before Thanksgiving in very cold conditions. I see you tweeted that to me as well, Walt. They can't move this season back. After they lock out, after 2026, when they lock out, that's when it'll probably happen. MLB needs to move the start of the season. Yeah, and I see this. Wally Horse WordPress. Gotta check out the Seminole and Hollywood. Beautiful. It's one shaped like a guitar. Almost got kicked out for being on. Yeah, definitely gotta go there next. He's on it. Oh man. Gotta post this. Yeah, what's up, please? If you want to just play it as the rejoin, that works. Or cue it up, I don't care. They rushing you out? Yeah, I'll cue it up.
Good morning at 12 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti, and this report is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Morristown. Juan Soto got a chance to catch up with some of his former teammates as the Yankees and Mets played to a 6-6 tie in spring training. Soto wasn't exactly caught off guard to hear the displeasure from Yankee fans. That from SNY. Bombers also had a little depth to their bullpen. They picked up veteran lefty Ryan Yarbrough on a one-year deal, $2 million. 33-year-old can provide some length for the pen, even be used as a spot starter if need be. Anthony Davis, 12.6 rebounds, his first game since February 8th. Mavericks down the Nets 120-101. Spencer Dinwiddie burned his former club with 16 points and 12 assists. Islanders gave back a 2-0 advantage, fell to the Blue Jackets 4-3 in a shootout. Now the Isles get a point. Now even with the Rangers trail Montreal by 1 point for the final playoff spot. And the Canucks, they survived the Devils 4-3 in a shootout despite a pair of goals from Timo Meier. 48 degrees, cloudy sky at Central Park, and that's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
Good morning, good morning. You can hate me now. If you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. Keith McPherson on the fan. First night back. Good to be back. Took a little break. Went down to Tampa. Saw the game last Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't even remember. Gambled a bit, got in a pool, bopped around, went on a little boat cruise. I got to take a week break for my wife, for my son. They're my motivation, my why. I gotta give them that time. They're both sleeping right now. I work when they're asleep, and then when they get up in the morning, I'm asleep. So we're usually like ships passing in the morning. So that was good, and it's a good reset. I took a break when the World Series ended. I remember, I think it was like mid-November. I went to Mexico, took the week off. That was cool. And right before baseball starts, I take another break. So I'm ready to go. I'm locked in for 162. I'm in the chat right now, in the live chat, and Mets bio in the live chat said, yeah, I think, what did he say? He said, Key didn't get a chance to catch the earlier part of your show. Did you talk about what Evan and Tiki wanted to ask you? If you would give Juan Soto a roll call? I said, excuse me, say what? He said, yeah, I think one of Tiki or Sean suggested that he would get a roll call. And Evan thought that was crazy and said, let's just ask our own guy, Keith, who's a bleacher creature himself. I didn't get a phone call. Let me check my phone. Maybe did they try to dial me into the show? No, I didn't have a missed call. It's got nothing to do with the Mets. We're talking about the creatures. There's a 0% chance. There's a 0% chance that any creature would do a roll call for Juan Soto. Now, there might be some goofies over there that do a Juan Soto roll call. And now that we're talking about this on the fan, maybe some Mets fans go and do one. But there is a 0% chance that any of the La Bodega family, any of the section 39 to 203 bleacher creatures stand up and do a roll call for Juan Soto. That's dead. That's done. That is over with. 888-808-1019. Juan Soto says, Yankee fans, they can surprise you with anything. but they will not surprise you with a roll call, Juan Soto. You had the loudest roll call last year when you were with us. Now you're on the other side, and that's okay. That's okay. You took the most money, and your mom wanted you to be a Met so she could get her clothing allowance. That's all good. Anyway, we're talking about that. We're talking about St. John's. We're talking about brackets, and we were talking about Jameis Winston. And Paulie told me he got a couple calls because people are talking about how, Jameis is a bad guy. And yeah, the thing about sports is they're full of guys, and they're not all good guys. And they all have skeletons in their closets, and they all have things that have popped up. I did not mention the Uber incident when I talked about the crab legs and the thing that Jameis yelled when he was at Florida State. And we can get into it. I don't mind talking about it at all. I'm happy the guy is a Giant. I'm happy the guy is in New York. He just worked with Fox Sports at the Super Bowl, stole the show with them. I think he is just an energy locker room guy, and he is a quarterback that's going to sling it. He's going to throw the ball downfield, and it's what the Giants need. Now, coming into the NFL and being the number 1 overall draft pick, I guess he sat with Harbaugh. I don't know. I'm not sure where this came from. I guess it was like a draft, one of those like draft camps. ESPN Draft Academy. But I remember seeing this video, and I wanted to cue it up. It's Harbaugh talking to Jameis, kind of preparing him for like what teams are going to ask him with what they knew about him coming out of Florida State. Go ahead and play it.
Having issues, I wouldn't leave it out all that. Yeah. Right. I mean, everybody. Okay. Yeah. Whatever. Things like the Publix or whatever it might have been. I don't know the whole. I just know it happened. Joe, that's like the elephant in the room.
I would put it, keep it a tidy box. Tidy box. Came in, get some crab legs, left, and I've learned from that. Out. Tidy box.
All right. They're gonna say, "What did you say?" And you say, "Right."
And then get grilly on it. You get sex addiction. You get a problem with sex. You're addicted to sex.
You got to see Harbaugh's face when he's asking him these questions. So, Jameis, I'm not apologizing for his mistakes. He's made some mistakes, but I think you just got to give the guy an opportunity to come here and show you the type of man he's grown into and the person that he can be, the type of quarterback he can be, the type of leader he could be. And you know what? It's a 2-year deal for $8 million. It doesn't stop you from doing anything. It doesn't hurt you. And maybe he doesn't see the field. Maybe you draft Shedeur Sanders and he beats him out. Maybe you draft, I don't know, Jackson Dart and he beats him out. Maybe you bring in Russell Wilson still. Maybe Aaron Rodgers says, actually, my house in New Jersey, I want to stay there and I will sign with the Giants. Maybe the Steelers aren't really that interested. We don't know yet. But I think this is a move you make, right? You could have made this move last year. Probably would have been better than Drew Lock. So, I don't know. I hear a lot of hate for Jameis. I wanted to be somebody to come in and be supportive. You're going to talk about his 30 interceptions. Talk about the 33 touchdowns he had. You're going to talk about crab legs. Talk about the fact that, and that's another thing, too. We all talk about these things from the past as if we were there, as if we definitively know exactly how it happened, when it happened, where it happened. I was corrected in my chat. I think I said it was Winn-Dixie. I think I ended up in a Winn-Dixie in Florida this past week. It was a Publix where the whole crab legs incident went down. Winn-Dixie, Publix, Piggly Wiggly, whatever. I don't know. They have way different grocery stores down there. All I'm saying is if you're a Giants fan, this is not a bad move. If you're a Giants fan, this is one of the better quarterbacks you've had in the building in recent time. If you're a Giants fan, you can win games with Jameis. You're going to actually see an offense run with Jameis. And don't you have the quarterback whisper? That's all I keep hearing about, these whispers that Brian Daboll gives these quarterbacks. He helped Daniel Jones limit the turnovers. Maybe he's the godsend that Jameis has been praying for. Maybe he can deliver Jameis from throwing pick sixes. And I know I saw Jameis get busy with Jerry Jeudy. He could do the same thing with Malik Neighbors. 888-808-1019. Josh is in the Bronx. Josh, you're back on the fan.
That's awesome, baby. Well, I tell you,
You know, let's see what he's got down the road. Let's get to camp. You can take it from here, Keeper. I'm just saying, let the football thing play out and everything. Can't wait in the next 48 hours for opening day. Thank you. Take it, Keith.
Thanks for the call, Josh. Yeah, just, let things play out. Let's see who they draft. Let's see who else they sign. You need quarterbacks, and you need competition, and you need NFL caliber quarterbacks, veterans that have won games and that have played. When you think about Jameis and his experiences, you think he can't tell stories? You think he can't share some advice about his missteps? He got suspended 3 games for the Uber incident. I'm a former Uber driver. Shout out to JC Ascar, former Uber driver. We'll talk more about that in a bit too. Anybody driving Uber now should have a camera in their car. And the young lady that alleged that he wrongfully touched her, inappropriately touched her in an Uber driver or in a Uber in 2016, that's not a good look. That's not a good look. But that was also some years ago, and I wasn't there. You weren't there. Jameis Winston claimed that he didn't do it, but you take word for it, and these things go to court. And you know what I thought as I was reading the article? I was like, how did that all play out? He was, in Tampa Bay with the Bucks, and this young lady was at a drive-through. So, I don't know. Ubers can be tricky, man. I'm not trying to defend them. I'm just saying, I wasn't there. You weren't there. We don't know how this came about. Why would you be waiting in a drive-through? I've never taken somebody. I've driven 700 rides in Uber. I've never taken anybody through the drive-through. What type of level were you guys getting into? There's a lot of times in Uber where the drivers don't speak to the passengers besides a hello, if that. It's not a good look. But again, when I talk about these guys, I still got people calling me, asking me why the Yankees won't sign Trevor Bauer. Jameis is not perfect, but the past is the past. And with these athletes, man, so much of their lives, so much of the mistakes that they make follow them forever and are blasted publicly without us knowing the detail. And we just talk about them like we know. I'm glad every mistake that I made in life and things that I did, I never had any issues with chicks. I never was. I don't know. I was raised by a woman. I have a little sister, so I was always respectful. You'll never hear any story about me doing nothing like that. But I know there were some mistakes and things that I did when I was younger that I'm glad, there wasn't a 4K iPhone camera filming, or there wasn't anybody to, people make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. We all sin. We all should, make mistakes and learn from it and grow from it. And I think Jameis became more spiritual. He became more in touch with God. I've actually seen him now on 2 different Hard Knocks. Please go Google, Jameis Winston shows childhood home. And it'll show you the clip from his humble beginnings, which was on Hard Knocks when he was with Tampa. I've seen him now on Hard Knocks when he was in Tampa, and I've seen him last year on Hard Knocks with the Browns because they did the AFC North. And now he's grown into a family man. He's got kids, he's got sons, and this is just life is different for the guy. I'm hoping you guys give him a little bit more of a shot. Josh is in Passaic next up on the Fan. What's up, Josh?
Hey, Keith, what's good? How's your weekend?
It was good. Week, too long away from doing the job, but it's good to get a break and a reset. And the biggest thing, man, is sleep. I should be asleep right now. I don't think there was a night that I was awake at this hour. Especially having a young one, I go to bed. So it's nice to have a week of 8 hours of sleep.
Not to ask the wrong question, but everybody's asking what was the best part about spring training. What was the thing you least enjoyed?
The thing I least enjoyed about spring training, 2 things. My allergies started to flare up down there, and I did not think to bring any allergy medicine. And then also in the casino, you could smoke in the casino, and they were selling cigars and cigarettes. And I gambled. I was out on the casino a lot. I'm like, man, my hair's starting to smell like cigarettes. I felt like a film over my eyes, like nicotine in my eyes. I'm like, yo, because in Jersey, you can't smoke in the casino, not in Atlantic City anymore. That's been banned, outlawed for years. Those are probably the 2 things that irritated me the most. The smoking in the casino, and then my allergies flaring up.
Well, that sounds rough, fella. I hope you enjoyed the rest of the trip besides for that.
Oh, I did. It was great. Thank you.
Anyway, looking at this Winston move, And after this, I don't think they're actually gonna go after quarterback. I think the first two picks are gonna go quarterbacks right there. And whatever it is, just put in. And Malik Neighbors is going for is gonna be the number one receiver in yards. Look at what Jerry Jeudy did with Winston. This past year was that those few games he was putting up the same numbers, only with the as all the top players just behind Jamar Chase. And and that's what they did have a bunch of other young players. Put them with Malik Neighbors, and who knows what you'll get. I mean, the actual wins itself probably are not going to be there, but it is more of a hashtag taking a quarterback in 2026 move.
Yeah, you know what? You brought up a great point because some people have been commenting this on things I'm saying. What if the Browns take Shador? And today we saw Dion come out and say point blank, let's hope it's New York. He was at some press conference. I got to go to my notes and find where the press conference was. If Deion Sanders is on stage saying, let's hope it's New York, that is him signaling to Cleveland, do not pick my son at number 2. But let's say he is gone and Cam goes 1, Shador goes 2. Then you take Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. It's pretty simple for you, whichever one you think is a better move. I think for the Giants, the better move is to get Travis Hunter. I just think he's more of a foolproof guy and fills 2 needs for you potentially.
Right, and that's what I think they're actually going to end up getting anyway. And then looking at the Devils, as much as we like to stay in the playoffs, anything could happen. I feel like that's much more of your team, at the lower seeds with all your players. I'm very nervous about this team with Jack Hughes out, and I don't know, after watching the last few weeks without him, the third and fourth line are not playing well. Marshall's still taking a while to get to himself, and very down on them right now. How are you feeling about that?
I'm down too. I'm not gonna lie. Tough loss tonight. I don't know. It's not what you want. It's not how you envision this going. They're probably gonna make the playoffs and be a first round exit. We don't know. Maybe they go on a little bit of run, but it's hard for Devils fans to believe that they're gonna do what we actually thought they could potentially do when they were winning games at the beginning of the year. I'm down on them too. Honestly, I didn't watch any Devils while I was in Tampa, and I only watched a little bit of this game tonight. So yeah, I don't know. I hope for the best, but you feel like you're cooked when you're without 2 of your best players in Jack Hughes and Dougie Hamilton.
I think the only difference between this year and 2 years ago or last year is that just last year they lost Jack Hughes earlier, so just didn't end up making the playoffs. And just to be tough, you have to go for next year. It's just rough, but at least we were up on them until the MLB season. The football, the Giants and Jets always at least take us a month and a half until basketball and hockey starts. Then we at least ask, as Nets and Devils fan, at least take us till baseball season. So good on that. And then keep with the Mets. Just wanted to hear your thoughts on the guy they got from the Cubs, Alexander Canario, who's had another one at March face for him.
Yeah.
So if you think taking my call, have a great night.
Thanks for the call, Josh. Yeah, I mean, he homered the other night. His name has started to pop up. I'm seeing more and more Mets fans asking for him to be on the team, for him to make the team. We'll know soon. We'll know soon. I'm waiting for the final rosters to come out. We could take our guesses. More stuff came out with, Brett Beatty obviously has impressed, and he hit another homer today. And Brett Beatty should get the nod and get the opportunity to play and start and be the guy. There's just so much to be seen. I was reading something earlier about Edwin Diaz not necessarily being the closer, the Mets rotation being Clay Holmes, Tyler McGill, Griffin Canning, David Peterson, Kodai Senga, Paul Blackburn going to the bullpen, and then obviously you're waiting on injured guys to come back. Yeah, and even with Luis Angel Acuna and Lindor's comments about him playing bored, him being bored in spring training, him being a guy that needs the lights to be brighter. I understand that. There's a lot of guys like that. They can't go through the motions, but yeah, Alexander Canario, his name has popped up, and that's just one of those spring training things. I think I was alluding to this earlier. I just can't get too deep into spring training. I know he had 2 homers the other day, right? Canario. It's just they end up in these games against who knows who's pitching, and they're major league hitters. If they're getting fastballs over the plate, they should drive them out. If they're getting pitches that they can hit, they should drive them. Like a lot of times, it's just not like regular season baseball is, where they have hitting meetings and pitching meetings and game plans and how to pitch a guy. They're kind of just going out there working on their own stuff because it's exhibition. It doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is I can't read too much into it, and I don't think that teams do either. And like even with the Yankees, with Austin Wells and even like Spencer Jones today, people are like, send Spencer Jones. Like, I just remember Kyle Higashioka hitting a ton of home runs in the spring and that not translating. I remember Greg Bird being spring training MVP and that not translating. It is spring training. It is not the regular season. We got to kind of pump our brakes. And I think that these teams rely on guys who have posted in Major League Baseball, and that's just what they're going to do. They're going to rely on that more. A guy like JC Escar, who I mentioned earlier, man, that video, I love that video. The Yankees got it with that one. It's one thing for the Pirates to post Paul Skeens getting the nod for opening day. Like, spoiler alert, nobody thought that was going to be the opening day starter over there, whatever. But when you see a video of JC Escar, Boone talking about how this is tough to do, and then telling him he's made it, and then him calling his mom and his dad quietly being in the video and his mom crying, like, you love that. And so, then you get to learn about these guys' stories, and you get to learn that he was a substitute teacher. You get to learn that, he drove Uber. You get to learn that, he was with the Orioles and, he didn't make it there, but like, man, these guys grind and grind and grind. They never give up on the dream, and you never know where it could happen. It ends up happening with the New York Yankees. So you love to see that. I think that's great. And then a guy like Dom Smith, who so many Yankee fans were pointing to, is, Dom Smith's the DH. Dom Smith's the DH. Even Mets fans being like, Dom, look at this. Dom Smith's going to be playing. Like, nah, he opts out. And the Yankees have a lot of left-handed bats, and they need more right-handed hitters. And now you're looking at a guy like Pablo Reyes, who homers today. And it's like, okay, this guy might make the team. And, we already talked about Peraza not having any more options. And where is he going to go? We're about to find out how it all shakes out real soon. Josh is down in Houston, Texas, on the Fan in New York. What's up, Josh?
Hey, what's up? Welcome back.
Thanks, man.
So, a lot of my friends have been telling me, like, we're cooked, like the Yankees, we're cooked. Like, honestly, it's a really similar team to last year. Like, if you think about it, because we're really cold. We were missing Cole too last year. Now we're just like replace him with Breeze. And if anything, we might be a little better with like Goldschmidt and Bellinger. So I'm just gonna let you know.
Yeah, what I'll tell you, Josh, is the same thing that I've been saying. Tell your friends you don't know anything, we don't know anything. That's why we watch. That's why we bet. Check back with me every series, every week, every month. Thanks for the call, bro. I'll say this about the Yankees rotation. Like, nobody could have predicted this rotation, bro. We came into spring training and people were saying, Marcus Stroman doesn't want to go to the bullpen. No, he doesn't want to go to the bullpen. He's a starter. He trained to be a starter. He's been a starter for 10 years. I remember having his back, defending him. Like, they told him in the offseason, or they didn't even have to tell him in the offseason. You said it on Twitter. You wrote it. Everybody talked about it. They're going to trade him. They're going to trade him. They're going to trade him. So the Yankees granted him an extra day with his son, and coming off of him losing his house in California to the wildfires, they gave him some grace. They gave him a grace period. And then what did he do? He said he's staying grounded, and he's going to come in and work. Okay, it's the Pro Mat. Going back to Deion Sanders, it was Pro Mat 2025. I don't know what that is, where Deion today said, or yesterday now, said, we are hoping for New York. That Deion Sanders says something like that. You think Cleveland doesn't hear that? That's him signaling to the Cleveland Browns, don't draft my son. I want him to be there at 3 to fall to the Giants. Anyway, with the Yankees rotation, Carlos Rodon being your opening day starter, nobody had that. Nobody was thinking that was going to be the case. Let's see it, Los. You get paid the big bucks. It's year 3. You're allowed to have your beard on. You're allowed to grow out a little. Let's see it. Carlos Carrasco. Carlos Carrasco was hurt. Carlos Carrasco was not good. Carlos Carrasco was written off, done. He had a good spring. There were people laughing, thinking he wasn't going to. Here he is. Will Warren. Will Warren, who you saw for a couple starts last year, right? He wasn't good. He was a young guy. He got thrown into the fire. He got burnt. Well, he worked on it all off season. He started cooking. He's good. Like, he's going to get an opportunity, right? It's going to go Carlos Rodon, Max Fried, Marcus Stroman. Just that order. Clark Schmidt. As soon as they said Clark had a cranky back, I knew it wasn't good. And then that first outing, he got hit a little bit. I'm like, he's not on track. He's not on track to be ready to go. So the Yankees are going to roll out Carlos Rodon, Max Fried, Marcus Stroman, Will Warren. They could go back to Rodon for game 5 or go to Carlos Carrasco. And they're just going to see how it goes. And Josh in Houston was talking about last year when they were ready to option Luis Gil. We get the bad news about Cole. Hey, you got to go, bro. You're in there. And then we didn't have a Max Fried last year. And they were able to figure it out with Rodon and Stroman and Nestor and Gil and Schmidt. I don't remember the numbers. I'm sure I could go back to my notes. There was a point in time where they had like the lowest ERA in baseball. We were pleasantly surprised how good they were. And then when Cole came back, it was like, substitute teacher is out and the real teacher comes back. And the class was, behaving. Now they're misbehaving. It was like they took a step back. Cole came back and they weren't as good right away. Nobody knows. Stanton is out. DJ is out. So what? Like, DJ, forget about it. For me, I do we need to see anything else with DJ LeMahieu? Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate the robot formerly known as the machine, La Máquina. Used to be automatic, systematic with runners in scoring position. That's not the case anymore. He can't stay healthy. Boone came into this studio and said, well, DJ's healthy. When DJ's healthy, he's one of the best. He's not healthy. So stop. We're good on that. Let's see how Belly looks in pinstripes. He had a great spring. I think he's really excited about the chance to hit in Yankee Stadium to be a Yankee. Goldie had a little bit of a back issue. He was scratched, but man, Goldie's going to hit. Let's see what Austin Wells looks like. Like, your leadoff hitter is going to be Austin Wells and Goldie. Jazz Chisholm had a good spring. You know the theory about, hey, you trade for a guy, he's half a year as a Yankee. Well, now here's his first full year as a Yankee. And Jazz is with it. He's talking about competing. He's talking about being an all-star, winning a Gold Glove, Silver Slugger. Anthony Volpe. Volpe, we love you. We need you. There is no more time. You have to rise. You have to do it with your glove. Make the routine plays. And you have to hit. You have to hit. Embrace the Martian. Embrace the Martian. We're over the whole left field. This kid can't play left field. He should be in center field. Look at the bloopers. Look at the... This is who he is. He's an athlete. We've been waiting for this kid for 5 years. Embrace him. Root him on. He's a young guy that could win Rookie of the Year, that could run into a bunch of home runs, that could figure it out. There is no time to get him up to speed. There is no more time. The game is in 2 days. Let's roll. The bullpen's going to be ready to roll. Ryan Yarbrough, come on down. Help us out. Who else is going to shake out here? We don't know. So 888-808-1019 as we add a little bit more baseball conversation. And there's still a couple other things before we go to break here. And if you're on hold to talk about Jameis, the Jameis call just dipped off. There was something else I was going to add about Jameis, but I'll put a note in it. Put a note in my notes to go back to it. NFL, March Madness, Islanders. Who wants to talk about the Isles? We'll get to it. But, man, I wanted to say something. Watching the game 2 days ago when we heard about Brett Gardner losing his son, Miller, man, that cut me. That one hurt. And, you guys hear me talking about getting to spend a week with my son. My son is about to be 2 on April 13th. And being a dad, being a father is my number one priority. It is the most important thing to me. There is nothing I care about more than, being the man for my son. And Brett Gardner was a favorite player of mine. I had that 11 Gardy jersey, Gardy party, TYBG. Thank you, Brett Gardner. I hate how the Yankees did him on the way out. I hate how Yankee fans hated on him. But, I remember last year at Old Timers Day, people again ragging on Brett Gardner, has stuff to say about Brett Gardner not wanting to come back. And what I knew about Gardy was that he has a farm out there in South Carolina, and they said something like he didn't want to come to New York because like his I think his older son had a football game, and he wanted to be there for his sons. And when that story came out, I saw Jack Curry's tweet. I was literally sick. And then I heard Joe Girardi talking on the broadcast, and he broke down, and I was fighting back tears because, like, once you have a kid and you have a son, and I can't imagine. I can't imagine. So I like prayers immediately just started praying for their family. And I just wanted to send a shout out to Brett Gardner and the Gardner family. May God bless you guys. I know God makes no mistakes, but we question things like losing a child like that, and it's a terrible way to lose a life. And I feel so bad. I'm devastated for the Gardner family, and I hope more people pray for them, and I hope that they are all right and they pulled through. Keith McPherson on the Fan, 888-808-1019. We've got more to do, about 90 minutes left. Les, call me up. We'll be right back. All right, y'all. Let's see here. What casino did you go to in Atlantic City? Have you ever been to Foxwoods? Nah, never been to Foxwoods. I've been to every casino in AC. I was a big Borgata guy. Then when they opened up the Ocean Club, Revel, it was Revel, then the Ocean Club. I started to slide over there. Harrah's, of course. Trump used to have the Trump Taj Mahal and the Golden Nugget. I used to be in there. Caesars. Used to pull up to the Wild Wild West. Where else do we go gamble down there, bro? Anywhere. Anywhere for real. Anywhere, yo. J Mac, let Cookie pitch once or twice through the rotation, 6 deep, 7 deep, choose some innings. So what he can, let's see who could shine. Yeah. Hey, he had a good spring. I'm rocking with him. You're gonna need a bunch of guys to make some spot starts. So certainly, I'm with that for sure. Trevor Bauer, what we know about Trevor Bauer? Oh, bro, I had a video that did like 45,000 views on TikTok. I am getting DMs on Instagram and TikTok about it every day. I don't understand why he has such a big fan base. Because his YouTube channel? No. Sure. There's a 0% chance. No, there's more too. And they don't want the public to know. And no franchise will take the risk of like bringing him in, and then that stuff becomes public, and then your franchise is marked forever. No, he didn't. He hit Twitter. As soon as he could hit Twitter, he was like I remember the video. This guy was like, shouldn't have been answering DMs and stuff. Nah. No. And a lot of them think that Rob Manfred has it out for him. Rob Manfred's got bigger fish to fry. He's not worried about keeping Trevor Bauer out of the league. There's multiple victims that we don't know their faces. The one girl, we know her face because she wanted to be seen. There are other girls that I've spoken to young D1 level pitchers and even an MLB pitching scout. All say they watch Bauer, recommend to watch his videos to learn pitching. Yeah, he should take up coaching. Yeah. Yeah, I know. It was a different kind of thing. He did that in Atlantic City in an elevator with his girl and like Did Ray Rice get back in the NFL after that? No. Bauer's not getting back either. And we're back. Another Hate Me Now drop. We had that Hate Me Now drop. We might have to take that out. No Diddy. I'm getting back into my DJ stuff. I'm gonna pop back up on the 1s and 2s, playing some spots in the city, playing some spots down the shore, doing my own parties. And as I'm going through my playlist, just any Diddy stuff was like, nah, we can't really rock with Diddy. No Kanye either. I'm sorry, yo. Can't do it, man. Just can't do it. What we know about Diddy, can't do it. What we know about Ye, can't do it. Just avoid it. There's enough music to kind of skip around that. 888-808-1019. Let me hit these phones faster, man, see what you guys are talking about out there. Mike is in Brooklyn on the fan. What's up, Mike? You got it. I'm good.
Yeah, listen, I just wanted to call today. It's funny because I call occasionally, but not a ton. With my city, they had something or something that I just want to talk about it that's out there. So I always listen. So I listen to like all your Bauer, like you kill Bauer, right? Which is rightfully so. To me, I believe they're all scuzz buckets, right? And don't let any of them either back in or let them back in. But if you look at the Bauer incident compared to Winston, right? Bauer, they never paid any money civilly to the woman, right? Number one. Never found guilty, nothing in the court. Okay. So now you have Winston, right? And you just said, Winston, give him another chance. Listen, I'm all for, you know what? Have something universal. Have universal give him another chance or don't give them another chance. It's either one of them. It can't be this guy there.
No. It's not a universal give him another chance. They're completely different things that were alleged and that went to court and what we're talking about. We're not talking about.
No, I'm sorry. The one thing they didn't bring up was what about the rape case from FSU where FSU paid $950,000 for Winston? You forget about that one.
I wasn't there. You weren't there. I don't know how all that went down or didn't go down. I'm sure I could look that up.
Yeah, no. Look at they paid $950,000 to the schools for like 5 years. Had to do all this, teach all the students about raping and all this other stuff. And I'm not saying, and I'm not against you or not. I'm just saying basically, none of us are judge and jury. None of us do have these incidents, right? So, but there sort of has to be something universal that, I don't know. It's just hard. That's why I just wanted to bring it up here. You get a chance to look at it. They paid $950,000
to the victim. The victim was paid out, and she alleged that Jameis Winston raped her on campus at FSU.
Yes, FSU paid at $950,000.
I'll look it up. Thanks for the call, Mike. Let me take a minute because this goes back to what the note I had about Jameis and Trevor Bauer. The only thing in common with all of these guys is that they think because they are athletes, because they are famous, because they have money, status, that they are just like wanted by women and can do whatever they want and are above the law. And like they walk around like they are some type of gods. And they're all disillusioned. And it's a pattern, right? This happens a lot. On the flight to Tampa, I actually watched the Kobe doc that is on HBO Max now. And man, I like loved Kobe growing up, still do, and just look at him in a different light. And the way that this documentary broke down the like 2003 Kobe Bryant rape trial from Colorado. It's called Kobe: The Making of a Legend. It opened my eyes to like, oh yeah, Kobe definitely took advantage of this girl. Kobe definitely was in the wrong. But because he was Kobe Bryant, champion NBA player, the way that the system was set up, like he was able to win. And this girl, like there was no way she was beating Kobe Bryant. And that's unfortunate. Now, when we talk about Jameis versus Trevor Bauer, like I got to look up. I don't exactly remember what went on at campus on the campus at Florida State, but like it's a tale as old as time. It's unfortunate that these things go on. That the culture at college campuses are people getting drunk, and there are young girls that get taken advantage of, and a lot of times by these players. I played at 2 schools, bro. I played at James Madison University and Monmouth University. I seen it firsthand. Football party. I had a football house. There were times where I was checking on people and going in a room, stuff like, nah, we're not doing this here. Nope. What's going on? Nah, this is not going down. It's not okay. But we can't compare Jameis Winston. And I honestly think he obviously was a knucklehead and not smart. And I already talked about him just not being self-aware. And he probably got carried away with himself too. And you know what? Like there are people that play into the treatment of these athletes that blow their heads up and make them think that they're gods and they're above people and they're not. But I'll read into the Jameis issue with that. But that's a different type of thing than what Trevor Bauer did and is facing. The Trevor Bauer thing, and like Mike said, like, yeah, I listen to your stuff. I know you killed Trevor Bauer. I'm not killing Trevor Bauer. I don't want to talk about Trevor Bauer anymore. There's nothing to talk about. He's not going to pitch in Major League Baseball ever again. He can go to Mexico. He can go to Korea. They don't care. He's not going to sign with a Major League Baseball team because they will not take on what potentially could come out more about Trevor Bauer. There wasn't one girl. We all know the one girl because her face was on the video and that all came out and she was clearly looking for some clout and fame. There are other victims and cases. And from what I read about Trevor Bauer and the things that homeboy liked to do in the privacy of wherever he was, where these girls he would talk to in their DMs or whatever, like he earned this. With great power comes great responsibility. He abused his power. He did not move with responsibility. This guy was literally meeting up with any girls that he could talk through via DMs. And he was assaulting them. So, like, we can try to say, well, Trevor Bauer and Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston has been reprimanded, has been suspended. And you know what? He's kept his nose clean for some years. Can we give him that credit? Yeah, he made some mistakes young, but we haven't heard anything. And that's what I'm saying. I've watched him grow from the first Hard Knocks to his last one, where now he's got a wife and a couple sons, some kids. He seems to be a different guy. Trevor Bauer, I can't even say what I want to say about Trevor Bauer and what I read about Trevor Bauer and what I know about Trevor Bauer. What actually amazes me about Trevor Bauer is his fan base. Is his YouTube channel that good? Like, how does he have so many grown men fans caping for him, beating the table, saying he deserves a shot? Why don't the Yankees sign Trevor Bauer? Nobody is taking that on because it's not done. Like, there's the one girl who wanted her face to be seen. Yeah. There's a couple other girls, they don't want their face to be seen because they probably have boyfriends or probably are trying to date or work or be somewhere and not be labeled as, another one of those girls that Trevor Bauer punched in the I'm good on talking about Trevor Bauer, yo. 888-808-1019. Ross is in Bergen County. Ross, you're on the fan.
Hey, Keith, good hearing you again, man. I hope the trip went well and everything.
It did.
Yeah, so you saw, I tweeted, by the way, you got to hit up the, I said Hollywood, obviously, Miami area. They got that one, I don't know if you see it shaped like a guitar.
I have. I got to get out there. Where is Hollywood, Florida in regards to Tampa? How far is that?
It's outside of Miami. It's on the Miami suburb.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, but it's about like a 20-minute drive from downtown. Sounds really wants to, it's the Marlin game and all that. No, it's great. I don't know. The Tampa board looks nice too, but I feel like they got all over the state. And I think like with the Panthers and Lightning down there, like along the boards, they got the advertisers. I think they've said that Hard Rock is the only sports book that works down there.
It is.
Which is weird how that's still stood. And I've had sports book issues of my own. I don't know. Am I allowed to shout out other books? Well, I know I don't know if they sponsor anymore, but like you know the app Underdog.
I do.
So I'd have to run up to New York. Well, I go to school like 5 minutes from the border, so it wasn't too bad. But like it would be a problem if I was coming from my house. But they had a whole hiccup with the state of New York where it's not only still not legal in New Jersey, but it's also now illegal in New York. So I haven't been able to put anything in for a couple of weeks. I got to go back to.
You're also underage, Ross. You're also in high school.
Well, hold on. Underdog is 18 plus because it's registered as a fantasy app.
All right, you got it. I'm not the guy to tell you. Like I said, I was going to Atlantic City at 16. I was going to Monmouth Park at 16. 16, I started gambling.
Hey, man, I might need 1-800-GAMBLER on the speed dock. My uncle, he runs pictures of the FanDuel at the Meadowlands. He lets me put some stuff in. I took a hit this weekend, so bracket and everything.
You telling on your uncle live on air now?
Man, I mean, I'm not giving away much info. So I used to have 16 and everything, so I feel like it's 50 range. I'll tell you this, though. I don't think FanDuel is complaining because I took a hit with the parlays, man. Especially the bracket, too, the one thing. Cause, I mean, you look at this thing, it's all chalk. And ironically, funny enough, I was talking to Patty Boyle over the weekend. Leave it to New York, even in college. How many times do you bring up this, especially in the college football season, but now with college basketball, too, this city, you really need a run to get us invested, and the Johnny's gave us one. But leave it to us to be this city, this area, to be the reason why there's only one. There's one remaining double-digit seed left in the Sweet 16, and it's at the hands of the New York-based team. And the fact that you can put R.J. Lewis now in the same conversation as Aaron Judge, and Mika Zibanejad, or Artemi Panarin, hell, even Julius Randle when he was here. Every big
It's us. It's our negative energy. That's what I said. We had too much negative energy leading up to it. I was listening. When was I listening to the fan? Maybe Monday. I don't know when it was. I was listening to the fan. I'm like, why are we hating on St. John's? Why are we rooting for them to lose? Why are we saying that they need to like calm down after winning the first game? We should all be like, yeah, go get them. But nope. Started to pull them back. Crabs in a bucket. Yeah. We don't want the college kids to have success because the Rangers failed, because the Yankees failed, because the Mets failed, because the Knicks failed. We want them to suffer like the rest of us.
It's miserable around here. And one thing, something else that goes with it. Like I said, I'm not big on college basketball. Obviously, I think the madness, the March Madness, the best, organized thing in sports period. But regular season, I'm not that big into it. Aside from the betting, I'll say this though: when I'm into it, I'm a Seton Hall fan, and it's kind of ironic. You talk about this time last year, the Hall and St. John's were kind of hand in hand as kind of the two teams that got screwed out. The first four out. And there was a whole talk kind of like this year with UNC. Last year was Virginia. And even if you go deeper, a lot of people were saying, you could make a case for John with the Johnnies, but Seton Hall was like unanimously screwed. They wound up winning the NIT, and obviously Kadarius Richmond goes to St. John's. And kind of this whole thing, St. John's went on this legacy run, Seton Hall was bottom of the barrel. So, the fact that, a couple other schools around here, but St. John's was the talk of the town, obviously, and who would have thought that his son, obviously Richard with New Mexico, would outlast, albeit same round they were eliminated just based off the schedule. But the fact that there was enough time in between games where Rick was able to fly out to Cleveland and watch his son coach in the tournament that he himself got eliminated in.
Yeah, told him how to beat Marquette. Thanks for the call, Ross. 888-808-1019. I want to take this call because I just want to hear what he's talking about. Mo is in Brooklyn on the fan. What's up, Mo?
Good night, Keith. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for holding.
Let me ask you, why is there no New York Islander talk on the fan?
Because there's mostly Rangers fans on the fan. Me being a Devils fan, I see them. I understand. I see them go. You can lead the Islanders talk.
Yeah, there's more New York Liberty talk than Islanders.
Well, when the Liberty won the whole thing, I guess. But no, you want some love for the Isles? They're ahead of the Rangers in the standings. Go on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What I wanted to make the point was that this Islanders team is giving me I'm a Mets fan, so they're giving me those Mets vibes.
In a good way or a bad way? I don't understand.
In a good way.
Even though they lost tonight.
They lost tonight, yes, okay, but they jumped ahead of the Rangers and they're jumping ahead of the standings. By the way, the Devils are.
Yeah, well, it's going to be kind of tough to survive and advance without your, two of your best players. We kind of accepted that. But like Mets vibes with the Islanders, they're giving you the vibes that the Mets had last year. Like they can go on a run. Like if they get in, they can. Okay, all right, and they got the same colors. And Aaron Boone said that Juan Soto doesn't look good in orange and blue, and I said I don't think anybody does. But Islanders, the Knicks, the Mets, they pull it off.
Yeah, Knicks, Mets, Islanders, guys.
Well, congrats, Mo. I hope the Islanders pull through for you. And I'm sure who are Islanders fans here at WFAN? Evan.
Is there any?
Is Pete Hoffman? Sal Licata. No, Sal's a Rangers fan.
So we got to recruit it to the fan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, somebody's got to lead the charge. Thanks for the call, Mo. I see the Isles. I'm not a big Isles guy. I mean, shout out to John Ledecky. He did host us, and it was a great time for me. Like I think me, Gio, and Bogish went down during that second period. I was talking about that was and shout out to the Devils. They treat me great, and I've had amazing time at every Devils game I've gone to. But that period was the best hockey I ever got to see live because 5 goals were scored in the period and 4 were right in front of us. It was like serendipitous or something. Or like I think Ledecky joked. He was like, they scored more goals in this period than they do all week. He's like, the players must have seen Gio. Like they turned up, man. That was a great experience. And I mean, obviously the suite was amazing. But yeah, shout out to the Isles and the Isles fans, crawling back from the depths of the standings. It ain't over till it's over. Maybe you will write the story for New York hockey and the New York Islanders will make a run this year. I don't think it's going to be the Devils. I don't think it's going to be the Rangers, but maybe the Isles get hot at the right time. 888-808-1019. Let's see if I can get another call in before we get to 1 o'clock. King George up in the Bronx on the fan. Thanks for holding.
Live long and prosper, and I'm going to call you Chief Decay because you got that energy and cadence of a long ago radio personality, Murray Decay. He was a star maker.
Appreciate it.
And I'm not going to go into what I wanted to because I thought about Gardner's son. He wasn't even an adult.
Yeah, that hurts.
He wasn't even in his mid-teens. And I could feel his father's pain. And because like when my father died, I had to hear so much stupid stuff because he happened to die on December 24th. And they go, oh, it's sad he died before Christmas. That's a genius. When is a good day to die?
No, there isn't a good day to die. And
and I could, because were you around when the band used to have a Sid telethon? And you thought about things these kids that died at birth were young. You said, Dad, they didn't live what we did. You and I had our first date. We went to school. We learned to read, right? We got an interest in girls at some point. And those kids that you used to have them telethon for, they died young when they were babies. All of that just came to me when you mentioned Gardner's son.
Yeah, it sucks, but we get news like that, and it's a harsh reminder to, live every day to the fullest. It's cliche, but it's not cliche. And every day is not promised, and it's not promised for you or your loved ones. That's why it's not worth fighting or bickering or arguing or going to sleep mad at somebody you love. Like, you just don't know. And like, man, that hurt. It still hurts thinking about, like I said, listening to Girardi, I couldn't even watch the game. I turned the game off. I started watching March Madness because Girardi was talking about, like, obviously Brett Gardner grew up in the organization, and you get to meet the wife, and then the kids are born, and you see them as babies coming up. And man, to lose a son at 14, like, sick. It's just, I don't know. It hurts. I watched my mom bury her youngest, or her oldest son. I'm her youngest son, but I watched her. I watched her lose her firstborn that she had when she was young, when she was a teenager, and I saw what that was like. So it's just like, man, and that's why I say God works in mysterious ways. God makes no mistakes, but uh, I think it's just like, God uses other people to send messages to all of us. And, it's not right. It's not wrong, but it's just the reality of life and death. And maybe, there's a Yankee fan or a family or somebody that heard that news, and they, it made them move differently, or think differently. I know it made me hug my son. It made me hug my wife. It made me think about how blessed I am, to even be able to take care of my family, and take a week off and go to spring training, and share that experience with them. And, like, that's all Brett Gardner was doing. I think I read they were in Costa Rica, right? Because of his playing career, because of the money I'm sure that he put aside, he could afford to go to Costa Rica and lead the country and take his family to an experience that, like, I've never been to Costa Rica. I may never go to, but like, that's a terrible memory forever. Um, After that experience, it's terrible. It's heartbreaking.
And that's why I was friends with Steve Summers. When my father died, he called me at home. He said, your father lived through 2 world wars, the Great Depression, the invention of television. He had a lot of stories to tell you, and you were there for him. That meant a lot to me when Steve Summers said that.
Yeah, because Steve is a real
He
one like
called
that.
me at home.
Mm-hmm. Steve gets
So,
it.
I called him at home when his father died.
Well, rest in peace
Yeah,
to
and
your
I
father,
had,
Steve's father. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, because I gave his father a watch, and his father act like I gave him a hunk of uranium.
Thank you for the call. Thank you for the story. We got a break. We're up against it. It's about to be 1 o'clock. Keith McPherson on the Fan. We'll be right back. Oh, was I supposed to do this read? I think I did it already. Okay, I think I did it twice already. Okay, good. It's the Corona read. I think I had to do it twice before 12, and I think we did. Yeah, bro. That Brett Gardner shit fucked me up. And I see y'all talking about Bauer. Like, Bauer got what was coming to him, bro. Bauer was the guy strutting around doing the off the mound, doing the I don't know why I can't think of the fighter. I'm thinking about how terrible that is for the Gardner family, bro. That's just like, life is fragile like that. The Conor McGregor. He was doing the Conor McGregor walking off the mound. He took the ball, chucked it. When he was with the Guardians. This is the same guy. He missed a start because he was playing with a drone. Like, Trevor Bauer was consistently a dickhead. Like, even when he first got the case thrown out or whatever, he ran to Twitter to be like, see, I didn't do it, or like this wasn't right. And it's like, not so fast, buddy. Not so fast, buddy. And like, what the kicker is, like, there was a post like Domingo Herman, how many starts he's had, since his issue. If Bauer was good, enough, not even good. Like if he was just good, if he was a good enough pitcher at this point, someone would have him. Someone would have him in camp. What is it stopping all of Major League Baseball from bringing it in? There's injuries across baseball. Shane McClanahan just went down again. I don't have to tell you about the Mets and Yankees injuries. I'm sure if I actually thought about all across baseball, how many starting pitchers have gone down. This guy has won a Cy Young. Why? What? Like, what is it that's stopping all 30 teams from signing Trevor Bauer? I don't know. I do know, but I'm just gonna pretend like I don't know. While all these guys are on this Cape Crusade for justice for Bauer, he's getting the justice he deserves. He had a chance to, he's done. He's done. Like you guys want to say the MVPs and the World Series from that and some of the other stats from that 60-game season aren't valid, but Trevor Bauer's Cy Young is valid. He pitched in the NL Central for the Reds for 60 games. And like, how close was that? I feel like it was close. It wasn't like he won by a landslide. Like, you're like, he won a Cy Young. I'm like, that was now 5 years ago, bro. 60-game season. If he was good enough in Mexico, as I said, they have film on him in Mexico and Korea, wherever. If he was legit enough, like, they would overlook it. How come nobody is campaigning for Julio Urias from the Dodgers? How come he doesn't have the same support that Trevor Bauer has? A lot of these guys have domestic violence issues and charges and things. Chapman survived. Domingo Germán survived. Who was the reliever from the Astros that did something like that? What I'm telling y'all, too, about Trevor Bauer is you think it's over because of that one girl that wanted to get famous and clout and wanted to do every podcast and interview and wanted to be seen. And she was the one that was literally trying to, like, extort him. She was the one, like, on the camera, wink, wink, like, I got him. That's one instance.
Good morning at 1 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti, and this report is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Morristown. A reunion for Juan Soto against his former club. Yankees and Mets playing to a 6-6 tie in spring action. Aaron Boone was quick to tell Soto, looked terrible in that Met uniform. Soto, courtesy of SNY. Meanwhile, the Yankees add a second lefty to their bullpen. Someone who could give him some length, even be a spot starter. Coming towards the veteran Ryan Yarbrough on a one-year deal at $2 million. Mavericks too much for the Nets, 120-101. Spencer Dinwiddie, 16 points, 12 assists. Anthony Davis made his return for Dallas, 12.6 rebounds, his first action since early February. Blue Jackets outlast the Islanders 4-3 in a shootout, came back from 2-0 down. Isles settled for the 1 point, now 1 point back in Montreal for the final wild card. Canucks escaped the Devils 4-3 in a shootout, and we hope it's in New York. Those are the alleged words of Deion Sanders when asked would he like to see his son Shador go in the upcoming draft. Allegedly said at a convention over the weekend, however, there's no audio or video. 48 degrees, cloudy sky at Central Park, and that's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
Inside the 1 a.m. hour on the Fan in New York, Keith McPherson, your nighttime host, getting back into the swing of things. Dial 888-808-1019 if you'd like to join. Also streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Twitter, and Instagram, all under Keith McPherson. YouTube is McPherson Brand. Yeah, man, we're talking about a lot of different things, and this is what happens when you have a week off. You have a bunch of different things in your notes to talk about and things to bring to the airwaves, and some things kind of serious. So like, it's just kind of had a serious tone. I never shy away from these conversations. I feel like we need to have more real conversations. I don't have any gimmicks. I don't have any stick. I don't have any games to play on air. I don't have any co-hosts. I can't come in here and yuck it up. I can only be myself. I can only be real with y'all. And it's late at night. Like, nobody got time for the games and I don't have any segments. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have real topics to discuss. I have real things, whether it's, Brett Gardner losing his son, which like I'm still shaken up about it, and it's tough to read and, to hear about. Prayers up to them, or whether it's Jameis Winston and his situation, right? And how, like, man, there's a ton of these athletes that have these issues with, whether it's with women or just things off the field. And then, obviously that goes into Trevor Bauer. And Trevor Bauer, like I just said to my chat, how come nobody is campaigning for Julio Urias, the almighty Dodgers, right? That guy was with the Dodgers. How come nobody's talking about, him being suspended? And as soon as I type his name in, Trevor Bauer weighs in on Julio Urias' pardon and takes a swing at MLB. Maybe don't take any more swings at MLB. You're absolutely cooked, bro. But Trevor Bauer is cooked in Major League Baseball. Like, you guys want to say the Yankees are cooked? No, we don't know what the Yankees are going to be. We don't know what the Yankees can win a bunch of games. Maybe they win 90 games. Maybe they're a postseason team. Trevor Bauer is winning 0 Major League Baseball games this year. Maybe Ryan Yarbrough does. I saw this earlier. Breaking news, the Yankees are finalizing a deal for left-handed pitcher Ryan Yarbrough. Great. We'll take him. He recently was optioned to AAA by the Blue Jays. Left Toronto fans confused after an impressive stint. Also, some fans confused. I saw people in my chat talking about Brandon Drury, former Toronto Blue Jay, former Yankee. From what I saw with Brandon Drury, he, at first I thought, I'm like, oh, he got cut from the White Sox. He can't make camp with the White Sox. But then people were bringing to my attention, he had 3 homers. He batted .410. He had a .439 on base percentage, .821 slug. But I think he got hurt. I think he hurt his thumb. And the White Sox don't care about anything. So maybe somebody will pick him up. I don't think he'll be picked up by the Mets or Yankees, but maybe the Yankees run it back with him. Who knows? But as Yankee fans are saying, Garrett Cole, you have a $20 million insurance policy on. And as the Tampa Bay Rays, if you haven't seen their renovations to George M. Steinbrenner Field, it is odd. It just doesn't look right, feel right, as they have a big Yankee logo and then 2025 home of the Tampa Bay Rays, and they're putting up Rays where you have the Yankees. Like, the Rays are paying the Yankees like $20 million or something to use their facility. So fans were screaming, make a move. Why can't you make a move? Why can't you do something? Well, here's Ryan Yarbrough. And as the rosters get finalized and as, names pop up like a Brandon Drury, you'll see what's out there. And the Yankees will see what's out there. Brian Cashman, we expect you to do your job, do your due diligence. 888-808-1019. I did have a quote from over the weekend with Cashman. And, Cashman will undersell what he's going to do and what he's trying to do, and which I think is smart. But he's basically letting you know, like, yo, it's not that easy. It's not that easy to just get guys out here. I can't just do it. So, yeah, Max Goodman said, takeaways from Brian Cashman. Speaking today, this was a few days ago now. Yankees definitely keeping the phone lines open. Sounds like Cashman would like to add a right-handed bat, but he's unsurprisingly open to upgrading any aspect of the team. Don't think we'll see Giancarlo Stanton, DJ LeMahieu, or Clayton Beeter anytime soon. Seems like Pablo Reyes is higher on the Yankees depth chart than Oswald Peraza. And after what he did today against the Mets, I would confirm that as well. And then lastly, while Cashman made the announcement on Carrasco and Schmidt, he didn't answer a question about how Will Warren factors into the opening day roster. But then we did actually get that answer. I think we got that answer from Boone. So, man, coming up, this is it. These are the last days before we get back to baseball. Let's get back to the phone. Solomon is in Brooklyn. What's up, man? You're on the fan. I'm good. How are you?
So I got two questions. The first one, I would like to have them, answered individually. So the first one is, what do you think the future holds for the New York Yankees this coming season afterward? Even, thank God they made the World Series after 15 years or 16 years. What do you think holds for the future of the New York Yankees? And I'll ask my second question after.
Yeah, I was about to say, let me answer that one. I'm excited for the season. I'm excited for Yankee fans. I'm excited to get back into the building. I'm excited just to have a first pitch every night, series to look at, like actual real baseball. I don't know. I don't think this is a World Series team. Too many injuries. It's hard to get back to the World Series after being there last year. Somebody else is going to emerge. I just can't go into the season expecting them to win the World Series. We know that's the expectation as Yankee fans. Every year, World Series or bust. But, like, I'm not going to be heartbroken if they don't get back to the World Series. But I'm down to go for the ride. I expect them to make the postseason. And you never know. We don't know who they're going to add at the deadline. We don't know who's going to rise up. We don't know what other teams are going to look like. But I don't know. I'm so hit by all of the injuries and how different this team looks coming into 1 out of 162. I'm just not thinking World Series. I've grown up. I've grown up to learn. Peter Pan, Santa Claus isn't real. Peter Pan, you got to leave Neverland. Like, the Yankees aren't winning a World Series every year. In this modern day baseball, it is tough to just get to back-to-back World Series. If they do, that would be amazing. But my hopes are just for some wins, get to the postseason, and to have another fun season on the fan and going to the games and interacting with other Yankee fans online and just enjoying baseball season as a whole, not just the Yankees, the entire Major League Baseball season.
So, and you think that, so my first question, you think that the Yankees might be able to do something special in the trade deadline, or?
I mean, they better, but, like, you know what, too? Like, I've also learned about our GM and our team. Like, they don't go all in. They don't go for it. So, like, I can't sit here and think, because also, if we think that they're going to go all in and go for it at the trade deadline, who's everybody asking for? George Lombard Jr., Spencer Jones, Will Warren, Jason Dominguez, and the guys that are already up here playing, other top prospects. Like, they're going to try and fleece the Yankees for their future. And Cashman's not going for it. So, like, you got to give to get. I can't sit here and be like, oh, yeah, they're just going to address it at the deadline, because everyone is going to be a high asking price. There's going to be a Yankees tax. And I know Cashman is not going for it. And there's always more teams involved with the expanded postseason, more teams that are buyers. I don't know. I have tapered my expectations. That's good. I think I said to one of my homies, I'm like, yo, let the expectations drop, lower the bar a little bit, and let's see where this goes. Let them potentially, like, under promise and over deliver. Like, that can happen. I'm good with that.
My second question, about the New York Giants NFL. Do you think they will be making a trade, or do you think they will be able to draft better in the draft coming? And thank you for everything. And I can't wait for the 2025 baseball. God bless you. And I'm sorry for the loss of Brett Garner's son, but everyone should have a great life. Take care.
Thank you for the call, Solomon. Do I think the Giants are going to make a trade moving from the third pick up or back, or do I think they're going to draft at the pick? I think they're going to draft at the pick, man. I just think like Dion signaling for it. They scouted Shador. They have Jameis. I watched the whole Cam Ward pro day today. And there's a part of me that thinks that, like, him and Shador are not that far apart. There's a part of me that thinks that neither one of them are super athletic runners. Cam Ward may have a little bit more of a live arm, but, like, live arm doesn't, like, Jamarcus Russell had a live arm. Live arm doesn't make you a better NFL quarterback. A lot of it is about situations. A lot of it is about awareness. A lot of it is about anticipation, reading defenses, timing. what I'm basically getting at is like, what if after all this talk, Shedeur Sanders is the better NFL quarterback than Cam Ward? And you don't have to move up. You don't have to give up, which I don't. The conversation of what the Giants would have to give up to get Cam Ward is over. The Titans are taking him. Like I told you before, I was watching that, and at the end, like Bill Callahan's like dapping him up, and like there were times last year where I'm like, oh, Bill Callahan hates Will Levis, calling him out in the post game, talking about him turning the ball over. He'd much rather have Cam Ward step in there. Cam Ward gets drafted number 1. He's a starter day 1. Will Levis could be the backup, but like they could also get rid of him. They could chuck him anywhere. I'm just starting to think, right? The Giants have to draft a quarterback. They could pass on Shedeur at 3 and get a generational talent in Abdul Carter. I think they should go Travis Hunter. They could trade back from 3 and say, let's see how the board shakes out. But I just think that's stupid. Like, you're at 3. Take the best player on the board if you're not sure about the quarterback. But I think they are sure about the quarterback. You know what, too, with Jameis, as I talked about Jameis being a number 1 overall pick and him having the pressure of being number 1 and coming into a franchise, having to be the future of the franchise, making mistakes, he'll be able to share some of that with Shedeur. Jameis isn't a runner either. Jameis is a pocket passer. Every black quarterback is not a runner. I think that putting him in the same quarterback room as Shedeur Sanders helps Shedeur Sanders. They're both going to be pocket passing quarterbacks, looking to throw first, run really never, unless they absolutely have to, and limit turnovers. I think Jameis is a guy that, it could be Jameis as your week 1 starter, and you go however many weeks, and then Shedeur is potentially ready, and if you're not winning games, whatever. We'll see, though. We'll see what they think, though. It doesn't matter what I think. It's about what Shane and Dable think, and they got to think with their jobs on the line. Philip is in Jamaica, Queens on the fan. What's up, Philip?
Thanks for taking my call. Always a pleasure to talk to you. And I hope all is well with you. And I hope your son is doing well.
He's doing great. I'm blessed to have my son. I love him more than anything, and like watching him go from a little baby to like now being a little dude it's a blessing of my life.
Yeah, it's probably wonderful to watch. I want to talk about the Giants quarterback situation. I have a different view. Look, the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And in my opinion, how did they win the Super Bowl? They built up the trenches. What I'm saying is the offensive line and the defensive line. And any quarterback that the Giants are going to draft, it's going to be like Daniel Jones. If the offensive line isn't good, no quarterback's going to be good. So my opinion is, before you draft a quarterback, why don't you draft? You got Winston, maybe you sign Cousins, and build up the offensive line, build up the defensive line, then draft the quarterback. If you draft the quarterback,
they're not going to be able. They'd have to trade for Kirk Cousins, and I don't see any point in trading for Kirk Cousins, who was terrible when we last saw him. And he may waive his trade. Kirk Cousins wants to start, and I don't think he wants to start in the Meadowlands. As far as building up the trenches, and stay with me, Philip. I get it, right? The Eagles, right? We're going to use the Eagles as the example with their offensive and defensive line. They didn't do that in one offseason. They didn't build up those offensive and defensive lines in one offseason. They put those guys together over years. And they also made some smart moves to plug in a Mekhi Becton, who's now signing with the Chargers. They also were able to go to Cam Jurgens. Like, they had a potential Hall of Fame, center retire. And they were able to plug in another guy that they drafted and to go with Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson. And, on the other side of the ball with guys like Jalen Carter and Milton Williams and Sweat, and like they hit on in the draft. Like, to build these offensive and defensive line, what I'm saying is you got to hit on multiple drafts year after year. The Giants have already missed in so many drafts. And you have a GM and a head coach that have to draft a quarterback. They haven't drafted their own guy. That is the only thing that they can latch on to in the event that they lose games Like they can latch on to, hey, we're developing this quarterback. They can't latch on to we're developing Abdul Carter. They can't latch on to we're developing Will Campbell.
Yeah, but aren't you concerned if they draft a quarterback without especially the offensive line, like Daniel Jones? He's going to be killed. Then he's going to be cut shot. He's going to
No, because they've already made some marginal moves, and I got to pull up the handy dandy New York Giants free agency tracker. They've already made some marginal moves where I think their offensive line is going to be better. We got to at least assume that Andrew Thomas is going to be healthy. I don't think that their offensive line is going to be like the offensive line that Daniel Jones was playing behind. And not for nothing, Daniel Jones is to blame for some of that too, being a sitting duck. Not completely, but some of it, yes. In the NFL, you have to have a pre-snap read. You have to have an idea of where the blitz is coming from. You got to get rid of the ball. There's a lot of times where I watch Daniel Jones, it's like, one read, two read, run, or like not. No, I'll never forget that Seahawks game, and that Cowboy blitz was coming. Everybody in the stadium could see it coming. He couldn't see it was coming. It's like the corner is blitzing, dude. How do you not know that guy's coming? And I think that was their first overall draft pick at corner. I forget the kid out of Illinois. I forget his name now.
Right. Well, okay, because I like Daniel Jones. I thought he was a good quarterback.
But like, what's to like about Daniel Jones? He's a nice guy. Don't get me wrong. Everybody talked about how much of a great teammate he was. But as a Giants fan, like maybe there was one season alike from Daniel Jones. Other than that, it was too up and down. Devin Witherspoon is the kid I was thinking of.
But I like the way he used his feet, his legs. Although he took too much punishment, he didn't know how to slide down. He would take hits that were necessary. So
yeah, well, the Daniel Jones era is over. I think it's time for a rookie quarterback's era to begin under Shane and Dable.
Yeah, I know. I'm just worried about the offensive line, but do you think it could be okay? And
I don't know. Thanks for the call, Philip. I'll say this as I pulled it up. Like they guys like they almost probably led the league in different offensive line configurations, at least 10 or 12. And some of their first moves were to add offensive line depth. And re-sign some guys. Aaron Stinney, Stone Forsythe, James Hudson. James Hudson III is the guy that looks like T-Pain. Stone Forsythe was with the Seattle Seahawks. So they have some reinforcements on top of guys like, John Michael Schmitz has to have a better year. I said Andrew Thomas, we got to assume is healthy. Evan Neal, I don't know. That's when we talk about building, like Evan Neal's got to be a hit. He's got to be the correct picking that high. And so far he hasn't been. I can't say that the book is closed on him, but you know what I'm saying? Like he's got to be something. They brought back Greg Van Roten. I don't think the offensive line is going to be as bad if they're healthy. I did mention earlier I like the signing of Lil Jordan Humphrey and Zach Pascal. I think those are two guys with speed that in this offense, we'll see what happens with Jameis and Malik Neighbors and Darius Slayton. Like you might have some burners. You might be able to stretch the field. But to stretch the field, you need protection. You need time. Draft some offensive linemen too. Why wouldn't that be a need? Obviously, the need is, I don't know. To me, I think if you don't want to be picking 6 overall. Like last year, you're picking 6 overall. Like look at the Giants' top 10 picks, right? Saquon at 2, Daniel Jones at 6, Evan Neal, Kayvon. Can we hit on a guy and like feel good about that? Like, and I guess you could say, Keith, I don't feel good about Shedeur Sanders. I don't think that's a hit. Travis Hunter, I feel better about. Maybe that's how they feel. When I talk about they scouted Shedeur Sanders, they were going to Colorado. They definitely know Travis Hunter too. There's no way they didn't talk to him. So maybe they do take Travis Hunter at 3, and then they wait and see if Jackson Dart falls. Jackson Dart's not going to fall, though. Jackson Dart's not falling. Or I think he goes top 20. It's a quarterback-driven league. Somebody likes him. Somebody's going to take a flyer on him. Quarterbacks don't fall. Shador Sanders not going to fall either. So what are they going to take? Jalen Milroe? I don't know about that. Matt is in Morristown, New Jersey. Next up on the fan. What's up, Matt?
What's up, Keith? How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm a big fan of your show. First time caller to it. I will say I am a Philly fan, first of all. But
congrats to you. Well, I'm guessing you're an Eagles fan. Are you all Philly teams?
I don't do much hockey, but I am pretty much all Philly teams. Yes, sir.
Well, not so much with the Sixers, but I mean, Eagles fans. I'm jealous. I'm jealous of the success of the Eagles, and they're not going anywhere for a while.
Yeah, thank you for Saquon. So let me give you some insight, and I'll get to my Duke point because I heard you're a Duke fan also. But one of the last callers that said you guys should build your own line, just looking from, real perspective of team to team. Like, we got lucky drafting Hurts. That's how. If we would have rolled with Carson Wentz, yes, we built up our O line and D line over years, but we got lucky. We picked the right quarterback, and then Coach Bush developed. I mean, things you got to take a quarterback if you're the Giants. Like, look at Jaden Daniels last year with Commanders. That's just how I see things. Like
CJ Stroud. What I'll add to that is, like, it wasn't luck. Like, clearly you scouted him. Clearly somebody wanted him in whether it was Howie or whoever, and they looked as I just saw this AI video of his progression. Like, as much as I hate the Eagles, like, and I don't like Tush Push Boy, his story is amazing. And
he's a great leader, man.
He's a great leader of men. He might not throw for 300 yards a game. That's what I'm talking about with Justin Fields, Jets fans that are up listening. I'm like, Justin Fields should look at a lot of Hurts tape. Like, you got to lead guys. You got to distribute the ball. You got to hit guys when they're open. You got to know when to run it. The thing about Hurts that they identified was, like, this guy's got the right head on his shoulders. He might not have the intangibles. Like, he might not jump off the page with statistics or his height or weight, but, like, there's something about this guy. Let's take a second-round pick, flyer on him, and see what he becomes. He's become a Super Bowl champ.
And you guys got the top pick, and, like, if we hadn't taken Hurts, where would we be now? I mean, we'd be in the same. You never know. I mean, we'd be filtering for quarterbacks too. We got lucky, so you might as well take. I would go for Shador. I'm a Shador fan. I think he hangs up in the pocket and makes big throws. That's what I've seen last year and the year before. So yeah, if his dad says let's go to the Giants, I think you guys are coming up with Shador, but I don't fear you yet. I'll be honest with my team. I don't fear you yet. Even if it takes Shador, it'll still take some time, but I think you're moving the right stuff with that. Hey, are you a Duke fan, sir?
I grew up a Duke fan as a kid, but, like, you know what I tell everybody, and I'm not ashamed of it. It was like the TV made me fans of my teams. Whatever team was on TV, I was a front runner completely. So Duke, I remember watching the Cameron Crazies and Duke being good all those years, coming out of, like, Bobby Hurley, Christian later, into Battier and JJ Redick and Duhan and those guys, of course.
Okay, all right, I'm with you, man. Hey, thanks for taking my call.
I thought you had a point. I thought you had a Duke point.
No, I was just saying if you're part of the brotherhood, that's great.
Yeah, I'm in. Thanks for the call, Matt. I'm documented. I'm well documented. I've gone to see them at Madison Square Garden. I've gone to see them at Izod Center. I'm not as much now because, like, I told y'all the story. I'll never forget that game at Izod Center, which they don't even do much at Izod Center. This one guy at Temple was wearing us out, and I was like, he's right. He's right. I don't know the Duke fight song. I'm not an alumni. I just fell in love with the team watching them on ESPN. The Cameron Crazies, diaper dandy, like, it's crazy too, man. Like, the influence that social media has on kids now, the influence that even, like, radio and other platforms have, like, we didn't have all this. I mean, I just had the TV, and if it was Jordan, I'm a Bulls fan. If it was Jeter and the Yankees, I'm a Yankee fan. If it was Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith. I'm a Cowboys fan. Duke, like even Florida State. Bro, I was up on Florida State watching Peter Warrick. Like I was watching Chris Winkie, at Florida State. Just like latching on to good teams that were on the TV. 888-808-1019, running out of time. When we come back, we'll talk more Mets, Yankees, Giants draft, just general sports stuff as I'm getting back into the swing of things, hitting on a few different things. I'll sprinkle some stuff in that I haven't gotten to as we close the show. If you're on hold, stay on hold. If you'd like to join the show, dial 888-808-1019. Keith McPherson on the fan. I'll be right back. All right, yo. Let's see something, man. I'm trying to figure something out that I can't figure out with this audio. It sucks. Word. I was mentioning him like, can't just be the arm. Broken thumb out months. Yeah, so if Jory broke his thumb, Yankees aren't picking him up. Charlie Ward, another one. Yes. When I used to go to Jacksonville, for summers when I was a kid, that's why some of my Yankee knowledge is patchy. They didn't have the Yankees on in Jacksonville. I was watching the Braves. Straight up. Let me see something here, man. Giants haters, beggars cannot be choosers. And for 2 years, $8 million, steal of a deal. You know why? The Giants don't have enough quarterbacks that throw touchdowns over the years. He does. So as much as you want to talk about the year he had 30 interceptions, which also all interceptions are not created equal, talk about his 30 touchdowns too. Don't just talk about the 30 interceptions, talk about the 30 touchdowns. The Giants, they don't ever have anybody throw for 30 touchdowns. He's already the best quarterback you've had in here since Eli. And he's box office. He's going to give you quotables. He's going to give you locker room, energy, and vibes. He's going to have these pre-game speeches that make you laugh. I remind you, Giants fans or Giants haters, beggars cannot be choosers. Trying to answer my tweets. We got a good amount of people in the chat, but the chat quiet. All the way out in Montana. Appreciate you holding me down, bro. Bauer fans watch Andrew Tate. Oh my. The no conviction defense shouldn't be allowed when you pay someone to drop charges. Yeah. Like, what are we talking about? It's another thing. Reading that Bauer stuff isn't what it used to be anymore, too. Spin rate, velocity down. Happy you're giving more background on his story. Like, if he was good enough, somebody would have taken a chance on him. He ain't that good. Let's see. What did I hit on? Mookie Betts. Okay. All right, we're coming back now. All right. I got less than 20 minutes left, so quick story time. And I buried this story from Tampa because this is like something that I don't really want to talk about, but I had to share it with somebody. So I'll share it with you all because this is where it originated from. And after this, I'm just gonna leave it alone, man. So you may remember, as we've done all this talk about Juan Soto, and the Juan Soto sweepstakes was going on, and I don't know what the date was, but it was the day that Clay Holmes signed. Connor Green reached out and got John Heyman to join my KM to AM in the 8:00 hour. So all that happened with John Heyman. Obviously, he got upset, and I apologize. My jokes and my way of trying to be different and not asking him the same questions he was asked over and over again, I took it a step too far. I didn't know that, I didn't know he was sensitive about the stuff to that point. I didn't know that he was going to escalate to that level. I apologized to him on air. I tried to apologize after, tried to get his phone number, whatever. And I've told you guys, and I've been on podcasts where people have asked about it. I'm like, I'll see John again. I know it's crazy, but like, he's in the media, I'm in the media. We're going to run into each other, whether it's at Yankee Stadium or MLB Network or somewhere that, I don't know, baseball media, sports media people are in New York. Well, it happened. And me, I'm a straight shooter. I'm not ducking anything. And I'm a man of my word. So last Wednesday night, I go to the boss, George M. Steinbrenner Field, to meet up with my good pals, Dave Sims and Susan Waldman, who were nice enough to have me on the broadcast. I wasn't going to overstep. If you heard, I was pretty much just trying not to, speak over any ball strikes, plays. And also it's Dave and Susan's time and not mine, but I was happy to be a guest. When I pop in, I pop in first to the right where all the writers are. I see my guy, Brian Hoke. I see Max Goodman. Who else did I see? I saw Mark Feinstein, all of them that I know. And I say hello to them. And I kid you not, I look out of the media window and I lock eyes on one guy. And I don't think he noticed me, but I saw him and you can't miss him. It's John Heyman, who, when I had him on the show, I introduced him as John Heyman. Everybody that knows baseball, everybody that watches baseball, everyone knows John Heyman. So in my mind, I'm like, yes, John is here. This is my opportunity to speak to John in person, not over the phone, not on the radio, not on the internet. This is my time to apologize to him man to man, face to face, and be like, bro, that wasn't my intention. I didn't know it was going to blow up and turn into all that, but also thank him because that went viral with all the Juan Soto talk, all of the whatever, like that went viral that week. That gave me a bump that week. Like people found out about me that did not know about me prior, and I have John Heyman to thank for that. So I was kind of in the WFAN booth and popping out, hoping that, all right, he comes back. And the funniest thing happened. I did the 7th inning with Dave and Susan. And as I come out of the door and look to the left, he's coming out of like a room that's across the way. So I reach my hand up, 2 fingers in the air to get his attention, like, hey, John. Bro looked at me, looked away, and went back to his seat. And I right there, I was just like, all right, he's not trying to. I tried to get his attention, or maybe he doesn't know what I look like. I doubt that though. I'm like, nah. I told my wife, I'm like, I saw John Heyman. She's like, what'd he say? I'm like, nothing. I'm like, I tried to flag him down. I tried to like initiate a conversation with him. He just looked and kept walking. So like I got that feeling like I was being like a bully, or like he was like dodging a school bully. And that's not That's not the type of energy I want to give off. That's not the type of person I am, and that's not the type of time I'm on. I'm transparent and very open about things. Like I said, I was going to thank him and I was going to apologize. And I honestly was going to say, John, we have the opportunity to do something funny right here. Like we could do a video. You could say whatever you want. We could take a picture, whatever. And then this thing is, but like, if we don't, then it just ends up being what it was. And I guess that's fine. It can be whatever it was. But I thought I'd share that story. I saw John. I'll see him again and I'll try again. But like, if I get the, feeling like I got last Wednesday, like he's not beat for me, I'll leave it alone and we'll act like it never happened. 888-808-1019. Dave is in Howell, New Jersey. Dave, you're on the Fan. I'm good, man. Thanks for calling. Yeah. He might not have the time for me. I might not be on his level. He might be like, you're under me, bro. No, you don't get to talk to me. Appreciate it.
About the Yankees for a second. When it comes to the third base situation, when it came to Anthony Volpe, he was the top prospect. The Yankees gave him all the time he needs. They brought him up a little too early, in my opinion. I don't know if you agree or not. But they gave him his chance to win the job. He won the job at a spring training, respect, and he balled out in spring training, and that's what got him to that spot. Now, he's been inconsistent. He's shown flashes and signs of consistency, and then inconsistency. He's a very, very, it's yet to be determined what Anthony Volpe is going to turn out to be. But when it comes to third base, I feel like the Yankees never gave Oswald Peraza that chance to just steal the job. When he was in the minor leagues, he was really, really playing well. And I really believe the reason why he was playing well is because he got at bats every single day, and he was playing consistent baseball. With the Yankees, it's always been chopped up. It's never been consistent. Why don't they just give him a shot? He was a top prospect for a reason. I don't know, Keith, you help me out with this one.
Yeah. I don't know. I disagree a little bit because they just gave him a shot. He had plenty of at-bats and opportunities to stand out in spring training this year. He didn't. He was in the running with Volpe, and like everything is circumstantial, right? Yankee fans were so done with IKF. They wanted Volpe to win that job. It was IKF, Volpe, and Peraza competing for that job. And it was clearly Volpe. Volpe rose to the occasion. He put in the work, and he won the job. And yeah, some people may feel like he got special treatment or treatment that others haven't. He did. But with Peraza, he's had opportunities. The same way I say spring training is spring training. The minors is the minors. He's had pop in the minors. He's hit in the minors. When he's had opportunities to come up, he's hit 188. So it's just kind of run its course with Peraza. But I'm not even mad at him. I look at the Yankees like, you did this to this kid. Like you're responsible for developing him. You're the ones that, because of the IKF situation, right, you had to force him into playing in the ALCS against the eventual World Series champions. He shouldn't have been put into that spot. That messes with a kid's psyche and development.
100%. They just they cling on to their prospects for way too long. And honestly, here's my bold take. I feel like the Yankees are playing Anthony Volpe like the Giants play Daniel Jones. They're just sticking to him because they don't really have a better option. They're not going to go give a Corey Seager $300 million with this payroll. Come on. They can't upgrade that position. No, not the Volpe. I look at the person.
Yeah, but it's time. We all love the story. One of us, he's a local guy, but it's time for him to be what he's supposed to be. He was regarded with the Bobby Witts and Gunnar Hendersons of the world from playing Team USA baseball. Like, he was a top pick. He was a guy that they passed on Corey Seager, Carlos Correa, Trevor Story, Marcus Semien. You know what I'm saying? Like that year where it was all those shortstops. They passed on them because they had IKF the stopgap, knowing Volpe was waiting in the wings. Volpe has to emerge and consistently hit and play defense this year, or it's going to get loud. It started to get loud at the end of last year. And that's when people were saying, hey, he plays every day. He probably needs some rest. Oh, no, he's only 23. He doesn't need any rest. Well, they rested him, and he was better in the postseason. Listen, he's a grown man. It's his third year in the pros. And like I said, guys like Bobby Witt and Gunnar Henderson have emerged as like all-star MVP caliber types. He doesn't have to be MVP, but he's got to be a solid player on both sides of the ball now.
100%. Keith, thanks so much for the time. It was a pleasure talking to you. You're legit my man.
Thanks for the call, Dave. 888-808-1019. Peraza not becoming is another, just throw him into the bin with the other Yankee prospects that get hyped and don't become. And all you can wonder is like, wow, if we would have gave up Peraza, would we have gotten Luis Castillo? Like, I don't know. Or Volpe or whatever. Like, it's stuff we'll never know. What was the asking price? Like, Peraza was a shortstop that they were saying had a better arm than Volpe, was a better fielder than Volpe, had more pop than Volpe. It never materialized, but he was starting games in the 2022 American League Championship because IKF had the yips. Because again, classic Yankees, IKF was playing third base and they wanted to turn him into a shortstop, and they had some numbers that said he was one of the best fielders. Whatever, man. I'm not so worried about Peraza Palooza. We'll see what happens here. If he gets traded, he gets traded. He's out of options. He's out of time. And that's just how baseball works. That's baseball, Susan. I'm not really worried about Peraza because I just, even with third base, Cabrera, it's your spot, buddy. Go for it. Do it. You've been on a couple opening day lineups. Like, go for it. I can't be worried about Peraza. He's not moving the needle. We just watched him in spring. Pablo Reyes is ahead of Oswald Peraza. Kenny C is in Westchester next on the fan. What's up, Kenny?
Yo, Keith, money on the mic, McPherson. How you doing, my man?
Hey, I'm all right.
Yo, first of all, I follow you on social media. I'm very hyped for opening day. Hopefully, I see you there. Diehard Yankee fan. I'm gonna be in the bleachers, so the bleacher creatures. You know how we do.
Yeah. It's funny, man. Like I'm doing a stands appearance 11 a.m. to 1, and that's a huge blessing. And I can't wait to see people there. But I'm just like, opening day has changed for me. Like the fact that I'm even doing an event, I'm like, bro, it used to be just like I was with the gang, with the creatures, and I still will be. But like, I'm not like, I don't know. Like I've evolved into a media member more than being a fan. So even when I want to be there for roll call in section 203, because I've been for I don't know how many opening days in a row, but then it starts to look like I'm making the spot hot, if that makes any sense. Like it's starting to look like, I don't want to like all right. Shout out to Justin Shackle. I'll actually be with Shaq in a few hours. We're doing something that we're working on something. But like when Justin Shackle and Ryan Rucco and Meredith show up to the bleachers, it's like, oh, celebrities. Like I don't want to be looked at as like a media member coming to the section because it's opening day. Like last year, like Jim Laird's pulled up, and it's like I don't know. I gotta hide. I gotta put on I'm gonna put on like a whole. I'm gonna duck. Like I gotta try and put on something where I blend in more because I don't want to give off the image of like, oh, it's opening day, so I'm doing the roll call. Like nah, like I know these people. Like you know what I'm saying?
I think just from listening to you over these last couple of years. I've been listening to you, I think 2 summers ago, I started listening to you. You are an extremely laid back and cool guy while obviously also being a diehard Yankee fan. I feel like you fit right in to where it wouldn't be like you make the spot hot. I think you blend in.
Yeah. No, I used to fit in every year. Nobody cared who I was outside of the same people that know who I am. Now it's like, I pull up and I don't want to make it seem markety. I don't want it to seem like, oh, you're here for the cameras. Like I'm not. I'm really not. I'm good.
I hear that. Well, congrats on the stand thing because that is awesome. I'm definitely more of a Billy's guy, but I'll probably check out stands as well.
Man, shout out to Mike at Stands. Shout out to Joey at Billy's, Schmitty at the Dugout, Tony at Yankee Tavern. I'm an everywhere in Yankee Land guy. I know all of the owners and bartenders at all of these spots, but shout out to Stands though. We're doing stands for Corona and WFAN opening day, but I'm everywhere. I've had a drink in all of those bars.
Oh yeah, man. I love to hear that. My point here, or my question more so, was are you confident with Ben Rice going into the year at the DH spot? Obviously, Stanton is huge shoes to fill. He's a tremendous loss to the lineup. Ben Rice, obviously the first Yankee to hit 3 home runs in a game last year. But after like that July, he kind of went into that slump. Do you think he can be that guy for the time being at the DH spot? Or do you think the Yankees need to go out and maybe potentially trade for a guy like Luis Ariz, who doesn't have to be a defensive liability because he'd be a DH, or maybe a JD Martinez? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, they're not going to spend. They're not going to, they're not going to add a guy like a JD Martinez at this point. They're going to let the young guys. And Ben Rice impressed. Ben Rice, he put on 5-10 pounds of weight. He's hitting the ball hard, and he's consistently hitting the ball hard. Actually, when I was on with Dave and Susan, they asked me who was I impressed with. I'm like, Ben Rice, because like when Ben Rice got called up last year, he was like skipping levels. I'm like, nah, they're not going to call him up. When Rizzo went down, I'm like, this kid's not ready yet. Like, he came up, he made history. And again, he's looking ready. So like Ben Rice won't be the everyday DH. He's going to get some opportunities. I think the kid's ready for it. I think he belongs, and he showed he belonged last year. He showed he belonged in spring. If he's hitting the ball hard like this, give him a shot, at least to start. We're slim. Like the bench is, the Yankees never have a bench, but like the bench is not that deep. Yeah, if you can hit, you're gonna find a way into the lineup.
Which is why, like, I know he opted out, but I was kind of surprised that we didn't make at least more of an effort to maybe try to keep Dom Smith. I call him Donnie Dingers just based on the spring that he had.
Yeah.
Already. Like, I would have maybe liked to see him get a shot in the DH spot, but
It's because he's a left-handed hitter. They now look at the Yankees all of a sudden got too many left-handed hitters. It was like we only have used to have Mike Ford and Brett Gardner. Now look,
right. We were begging for lefties at one point.
I had Rougned Odor.
I know. But Keith, it's been a pleasure talking to you, my man. And I got to say, I'm an aspiring media personality in the sports field, and you definitely become an influence on me, man, since I started listening to you. So much respect.
Appreciate it, bro. Build your own. Like, we're in a time now where you have a phone that is 4K. You have these apps that can edit videos. Everybody's doing it. And if you work at it and you put the time in and you're dope, people will find you. That's just how the algorithm works. You could have one video that just, goes and does 50,000, and the next one you build some followers, they do 100,000. Like, there are no gatekeepers anymore, man. Like, there's so many of these young kids now that started just going live and making content in high school, and they're in their 20s. They're millionaires, and a lot of them aren't even that smart. They're not even that dope. But like they've been in front of the camera for a decade from age 15 to 25, built their following, and they don't have to go through the channels of a major media network or radio station or television. Like, the internet is everything right now, and it's not gonna change. It's gonna continue to be. So, man, work on your own stuff, build your own channels, build your followers. Don't care what any negative haters say online, because that comes with the territory, and you can do whatever you want to do.
For sure, my man. And I've definitely been doing that on YouTube and whatnot. So I'm trying.
Yeah, just keep at it. Thanks for the call, Kenny. That's a good, and I'm gonna get one more call in, but like, for anybody listening, man, don't let anybody discourage you, hate on you. Everybody starts somewhere. Mario, Long Beach, last call. You got it.
Oh, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Good to be back.
Yeah, nice to hear you. I'm really happy. I'm going to go into football, but I know it's a short time left. But one thing I'm happy about is Cabrera at third base. Because the same thing they did with Peraza, well, they may be saying that, but Cabrera made me crazy last year. He'd play a game, he'd get 2 hits, and then they'd sit him for 3 games. And then you now let him play third base. That's it for the year. Let's see what he does. I think he'll do well. I like it. What do you think?
Yeah, and if he doesn't, they got to upgrade. But I'm with that too. When I met Oswaldo at the Pinstripe Pride event, I said, you don't get enough love. And what I meant was, like, they don't give you enough consistent love. They played you a little bit. They played John Birdie. They tried to find little spots for you. Okay, you'll play first base. You'll come in and be a defensive replacement. Like, just let him play. And he's got that clutch gene. He's got a flair for the dramatic. Maybe he surprises us this year, hit some home runs, and it is better than we expect. Thanks for the call, Mario. All right, yo. I got to go home, try to go to sleep. like I said, I'm doing some with Justin Shackle and Alex Day. If you follow me on Instagram, Twitter, social media, you'll see it. I can't let the cat out the bag yet. It's not even my thing to tell, but C-Max coming up next. I'll be back at 7 o'clock for KM to AM. We're rolling. Baseball's back this week. Thanks for listening. I'm out of here. Good night. All right, so I got to go.
Remember that a team that overachieved, a team we didn't expect to do the things that they did to get as far as
Maybe John doesn't know who I am.
Later.